Welcome back, everyone, to the fourth episode of the Control Your Epps-perience podcast. I am Alan Epps again, the namesake, inviting you to control your experience in your daily life and on this wonderful broadcast. If you've noticed, we have a special treat for all of you today. Not one, but two esteemed guests. Immediately to my left is the Brittany, formerly known as Epps, Miss Brittany Shulman, my eldest of my sisters. I'm the oldest. I run shit, but she's the oldest of my sisters. And then some guy she found at a 7-Eleven, was it? Like that.
Those are rudders.
Oh, yes.
It is rudders.
But her esteemed husband, Mr. Curtis Shulman, the father of my niece. So be nice. Talking shit. What brings you down?
What you mean, talking my shit? What brings us down? So our daughter is turning 1 year old in 2 days. It's kind of crazy. I was looking at her the other day, just completely lost in where this past year went. But yeah, so we had a party at our house yesterday. With COVID and just with our families being in two different states, we figured it would be best to kind of separate the party. So we had a party at our house yesterday, and then all of our Maryland friends and family we came down to have a party with today. She thoroughly enjoyed herself. She ate lots of cake. She smiled a lot, lots of laughs. So it was a good time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's picking you up because we'll see in a minute. That's why we got the video backing it up. And Curtis, have we been nice to you as the new white person in the family?
I'd like to point out, I'm the token white person. The other people don't count.
That's right.
You have a cousin. She's not allowed at the your cousin's wife, girlfriend, the pumpkin roll lady.
Oh, Troy's girl.
Oh, she's cool.
I denounce her though. Just I got dibs on the white.
Highlander. There can only be one.
The most important one. We'll take that because you come by more. So I was originally going to start this off ranting because today is Sunday, the 20th. And obviously with these week-longs, a lot happens in the week, and we have a lot to get into. My initially was going to start this with my goddamn Cowboys. But now it's more of a how about them Cowboys because the Atlanta Falcons, in true Atlanta Falcons fashion, blew a 20-point lead. And in the last seconds of the game, my battered, bruised, and at times inept Cowboys pulled out the win. Pull-out game strong. And here we are. I honestly was not expecting to win that game, but you don't want to see bad football. I think Curtis can appreciate that. If you lose, if you get beat, you get beat. But we were just turning the ball over. Coaching staff refuses to use that freak that is Zeke back there to pound the rock. They make him run out of shotgun. Kellen Moore, you cunt. Like you don't have a Twitter, or that I won't say call you a cunt to your face, but know that you're going to get the notification. But if somebody listening to this knows Kellen Moore, please tell him this is not Boise State. This is not NCAA 2020. Do they even have those games anymore, the football games?
Was that count with a C or a Q? Is it Q-U-N-T?
It's spelled with a C, but you got to throw that extra stank on it.
For sophistication.
The cunt. Yeah, I don't understand why they refuse to use this man, but Atlanta having their weak run defense almost forced us to, and we thought we lost Dak, and we finally got into a goal line formation, not 5 wide receivers on the 2-yard line. But I'm ranting. We won. I hope we're able to make some adjustments, build off that momentum of this moral victory, because we beat a team that really shouldn't have been close to us, no matter how better we are. But we're not going to be able to do this again. I think we got Seattle next week, and that's not going to happen.
That's an uphill battle.
Yeah. But we'll take our positivity in 2020 where we can get it. I know a lot of you are Cowboys haters, and, we all make mistakes. That's all I got. But in typical 2020 fashion, we lost a titan of just humanity, a titan of, jurisprudence, a titan of women's rights, a titan of everyone's rights, because women's rights are equal rights. The Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice, lost her fight with cancer, and I'm not only just going to say it, being stressed out by that orange idiot that is in office. But, she fought to her dying breath. She was in the hospital multiple times over the last year or so, and still working. Like, her clerks were in there. She was still out there, making it happen, being that voice of dissent when necessary, being that voice of action. And I don't care what your politics are. I don't care, where you stand on that. But you got to respect somebody who comes to work all day, every day, when somebody else might be golfing.
And fights passionately for other people.
While dying,
Yeah.
like while dying. So, um, just that loss in our country and really the world around, because we fancy ourselves the benchmark for humanity and equality, even if we in practice fall short. But the world watches when our Supreme Court makes a ruling. So to lose her influence is something crazy. So that in itself is a loss. But as somebody, I don't have any kids. I have women in my life that I feel dearly about. I have women I don't know from a can of paint, but I don't want to see things happening to them. And I'm honestly shook for them of what this means, because like I said, that voice of dissent extended to so many issues protecting women. You everybody wants to boil down the women's health to abortion, and whether or not you agree with abortion. What blows me is that myself, I'm a proud to Second Amendment advocate, and my brother-in-law here is as well. And I don't understand how the same crowd who is about Second Amendment rights, saying that we can't go, the government shouldn't be able to tell us what we need or what we should have, that the Second Amendment should not be infringed, shall not be infringed, in the same breath will infringe upon specialized women's care. When you have old senile white men deciding how a woman's body should be handled, and half of them have no idea. They clearly were not paying attention in biology. It's just like, what? But and when I hear the phrase common sense gun control, the first thing I think is there's no such thing as common sense, because common sense ain't common. Number one, and number two, it doesn't work. People yeah, there are some issues that should be inherent, but if they were inherent, we wouldn't need laws. And then number two, it's like guns are machines. They're highly engineered pieces of equipment. It's applied physics, it's applied engineering, and then the people who should be making the laws about these should probably at least know what the hell they're talking about, or at least defer to the people who do. We do that in every other industry. We say we're telling with COVID, trust the science. Why don't we do that with women's health? Because we want to inject the morality, wherever you're deriving that from, your own values, the Bible, which Bible, who knows? You know what I mean? But this is the only area that's up for debate in any of our laws. I personally don't understand it, and it's not for me to understand it. And now I'm genuinely terrified, and I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about it as the mother of a daughter and obviously a woman yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when, obviously we know that there is this huge discrepancy in a much larger mortality rate for women of color when they're delivering and in the hospital, giving birth to their children. So obviously, me being a woman of color, especially in the area that we live in, so, being born and raised here in the DMV, we were very much exposed to different cultures and different races. It's very much a melting pot where we grew up.
You take it for granted. You think everywhere is black like this until you move places where it's like, what?
Right. We grew up in PG County, the most affluent African American county in the country, and then I moved to State College, Pennsylvania, was very much, in the dead smack middle of Pennsylvania, but it's farmland, it's Amish, there's Penn State, which is the college town, but even that, the bubble of Penn State is so small, and even where we live versus where Penn State is to where my job is, there's a huge, gap between, the diversity. So with that being said, I live in a smaller town, and there's one hospital. We don't have very many doctors, interestingly enough. Our kind of medical practices are more run by PAs, which is different because being here, you have an overabundance of doctors and, places to go, but where we live, there's just not very many. And it was crazy because, I read the story about, and I forget his name. I'm kicking myself now. The man whose wife was in labor at Cedars-Sinai, and he was fighting for her.
Oh, Judge Hatchett's son-in-law? Was that his daughter? And her daughter died?
The mother died in childbirth.
Yeah, but it was Judge Hatchett's daughter.
Oh.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day. I didn't know that was her. But yeah, she delivered the baby, and then there was complications going on, and the husband is saying, there's something wrong with my wife, and the doctors and nurses aren't listening. And then hours and hours and hours go by. He's advocating, and no one's listening. Finally hours later they figure out that she's bleeding internally. And by this time, it's too late. They try to do, measures to save her. And it doesn't happen. And, she ends up passing away. So, that's scary to me because, there is, like I said, there's huge discrepancy between women of color when they're delivering versus non-women of color. And it was scary. And, we live in an area where there aren't very many people of color. And quite frankly, in the medical field, there are even fewer women of color. Out of my OBGYN practice, there is one person of color, and, everyone else is white. So it's kind of scary. You walk into this situation where, Curtis and I had to sit down and have a conversation. And I was like, look, okay, I'm going into labor, and if anything happens, if anything goes wrong, like, you fucking burn this shit down to make sure that I'm getting the care that I need, because, like, there's only one of me, and, obviously we want to have a healthy child, and, and I want to be healthy, but it's scary. And I shouldn't walk
And
into
my
a
brother's
hospital.
a fucking psychopath.
But, like,
Say it.
yes. But I shouldn't be walking into, the hospital thinking, like, I hope I fucking make it out. Like,
And you can't even charge it up to typical paranoid. I will never understand what it is to push a watermelon out of my holes or anything, but you can't charge it up.
But you got 2 holes?
Hole.
technically.
God
You
damn
said
it.
plural. I'm asking.
But yeah, good job. but I can't imagine. But any kind of major surgery or anything, the nerves are there, and then now you balance that with a life. But you can't charge this up to the normal anxiety of a mother, because even the most rich among us, the people who you think would never have to deal with this, almost died. So I had Jordan on the podcast via phone last time, and we were talking about Serena Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And if she had not shouted from her bed, not like before, this is what I'm worried about. She's literally dying on the table and screaming at people that somebody better listen to me. Serena wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
So, and who knows if her baby would. And it makes you wonder, it's like, this multi-millionaire, world famous person can't get the care she needs. What the hell are we supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly and truly. And even before you had the and stop me if you don't want to talk about this. Even before we had, my niece getting here, you told me a story about how you couldn't get just routine care from, and this is a hospital. This is a teaching hospital, but this is even though it's the only hospital around it, it's a big deal. We could say that, right? So you would expect the most professional of the professionals to be there. And I posted a meme last week on my Facebook about, I got annoyed with the picture because in my mind, the optic was you have a white woman in a gynecologist chair and there was a black male doctor, but it wasn't, the question was, are you comfortable with a male OBGYN? And at the face value, it's fine. But then when you start doing the optics of the black male and the white woman and that motif or trope that is prevalent in American society that has led to several race massacres and stuff like that, and then you look at the actual drawing itself and the snarling of the black doctor, like, what the hell was that? Yeah. But I tried to push that to the side and get to the issue to give women a voice about, are you comfortable? And, it was actually refreshing, the 50-50 spread about some prefer men, some prefer women. And that's cool. That's how it should be. I would even be okay with it if more women said that they only want a woman doctor. That's fine with me, too. But the fact that women have a choice. 40, 50 years ago, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was coming up, she didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And it was still thought to be a treatment that if a woman is not being the docile flower that her husband wants to be, break out a vibrator because she's got mania or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean? Like, there may be some signs to that, but that's another conversation. But, and again, you stop me if you don't want me to bring this up, but I asked her, like, because she made a vague comment on there saying that, she had a horrible experience with her male gyno, and I didn't want to blow her up on my comments, but I immediately went to her comments because, again, I'm a fucking psychopath. And I was like, what happened? And the first thing you said to me was, what was the first thing you wrote?
I said, he didn't do anything rapey.
And I was like, fine, because, again.
Isn't that
and
fucked
he
up?
was
That's
like,
where your head goes though?
Right.
It's fucked up.
It was like,
no, but the even worse part was that's where my head went. Like that's the first thing that I was like, I knew that's where that was going.
And then I had to check myself because part of me was relieved because I was literally, I can't even say loading it because my shit stays ready. But at the same time, it was like, I felt relief, but then I had to check myself where like, look how easy it is for me to just be like, oh, okay, everything's cool now. Okay? She can't do that because she had to let this man have access to her body, number one, once or twice. You just refused to see him after?
It
Yeah.
was just one time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't anything that he did, but it's just the way that he sees his patients, let alone the black female patient of 1 out of 10 maybe he might get.
More-
Out of the
less
10,
than that.
out of
Less
the
than
10 women,
that,
that's
yeah.
being
One out
generous.
of 20,
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
30.
That's being super
Yeah.
generous.
Who, as a doctor, and I understand there's levels of bedside manner, but as a doctor, you're supposed to be cognizant of the people you're treating, or you can't treat them. And go ahead, you tell your story because I don't want to.
Yeah, so I had gone to the gynecologist for, an issue that I was having. And basically what it boiled down to is that the doctor was accusing me of lying about what the situation was, what the history was. And I was like, 27 or
A grown
28?
ass woman, not
At this point.
not a fucking high schooler
Yeah.
whose parents are listening, trying to see if
Right.
if she's doing it.
Pay my
or
own
like,
bills, my own insurance.
not
like,
a college
it's my
student
name on
who's
shit.
not a college student who's still a child in mind. A grown fucking woman.
Yeah. And he essentially accused me of being a hoe. And I was like, not. But,
And even if she was, it's like imagine a mechanic. And I hate that I just did that. I always equivocate women to cars, and it's not because I look at women as cars, but the fact of the matter is, to talk to the male brain, we we call our cars girl names, unless there's other issues there. But but that's you got to talk to a man about things that we typically understand and care for. You know what I mean? And we don't. A man doesn't care if it's a '79 Pinto. Did they even stop making the Pinto in the '79? Whatever that Pinto was that was exploding.
I'm a redneck. I like trucks and Jeeps.
Yeah,
but you gotta know that.
or like a trusty Jeep or like the brand new hotness. Don't fuck with my car. You know what I mean? Imagine you're a mechanic. You bring your car in, and it could be something routine. It's making a noise. You don't know what it is. Oil change. I'm like, have you been off-roading in this vehicle? I mean, it's a fucking Jeep. What difference does it make? Fix my fucking car. Or have you been using synthetic oil? Like questioning you. Like, am I paying you or not? Fix my fucking Jeep.
Right.
You would go on a fucking warpath. And you have the option of going to any other mechanic. This is a doctor
Yeah.
who, at the end of the day, maybe he's accusing you, but maybe he's missing something. Because
Right.
without the proper
Sometimes that's just
gynecological
an
care,
assumption. Like, you're making an assumption based on
what difference does
someone.
it make? Treat me,
doesn't.
you motherfucker! Like,
Yeah, like your opinions or your judgment of me is irrelevant at this point. Like, this is my problem. What's the solution? Like that.
he's
point
acting
blank
like me.
period.
I work in insurance, so when you make a claim, I'm supposed to tell. Okay, are you lying to me that your car was parked, or did you hit a fucking pole and you're trying to,
Yeah, no, like this is my problem. Give me the answer. So, after he tells me what's going on, like I go and get a second opinion because he is an asshole, and I just want to make sure that he was correct in what he was saying. So I go see another doctor at a completely different practice, and she confirms what is going on, and she says it's like very common, like basically I had an issue that was kind of like chickenpox, and she said given the area that it was, that she can see why the doctor was asking me these questions, but I had been traveling a lot the 3 weeks prior and was in and out of hotels, and she said it's more likely that I had been in contact with dirty
Cootie.
towels, or basically,
But not like,
Literally,
yeah, I'm
saying-
not
that's
gonna get into her
essentially
shit.
what it is. Yeah,
But just
it's
like something that could have come from anywhere.
right. So
When she even said her daughter got it one time, like,
yeah, she the doctor was like, my daughter has this in the crook of her arm. Do I think people are like doing weird shit at her at daycare in her arm? No, like it's
And my sister's
very-
active as fuck, okay? She's an actual gymnast. She is a gymnast coordinator at one of the major, is that fair to say? The number one, the favorite? I mean, not, Eagle side. Is
yeah,
it?
at a sports camp.
Yeah, at sports camp, X Games, athletes go there to tune up. The Olympic team is not a stranger there. Like, it's a big deal. And she supervises all that shit. In addition to her own martial arts training and her own whenever she just wants to go do random flips. She literally will flip places for no fucking reason. But,
it's uncomfortable. Like at Christmas,
Yeah.
you're just flipping in the
Like,
in the
what do
living
you
room for no reason.
so...
Gotta
And
show you I still got it.
And I will say silver lining, and I'm not shooting him any bail or anything, but his what, I don't want to say incompetence, but his headassery, if you will, knows no bounds. Because as a black woman, you got to wonder, is this man doing this to all women? Or is this man doing this to the black women? Or, to the brown ones and everything?
Yeah.
Evidently, because when I got into her, I'm like, well, have you blasted him or anything? She said the funny thing is when I called back and I got my schedule and the receptionist told you that okay, I'm gonna set you up with this doctor, and you before she can even finish, she said absolutely not. And then what did she say to you?
Yeah, she was like, yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that about this particular doctor. And, in my mind, I'm thinking,
So
why
fuck
he's
isn't
still
somebody-
working here?
Like regular, like it wasn't like
He's
Yeah.
the guy. You
Like,
know
it
what I mean?
wasn't,
like
she
other
was just,
people in the practice made comments about
Yeah.
it too. Like
Which is why I asked you, like,
Dude's
would it be
an
fair?
asshat.
Would it be fair to say 1 in 10? So if it's 1 in 20, so you gotta assume that he's a
it's less
cunt.
than 120.
You gotta assume that he's a cunt to every woman he sees, not
Yeah.
just the brown one. But then that goes back to show you that there is no women are already vulnerable in the best of scenarios at the best hospitals with great insurance.
But bro, it's also
We're vulnerable in a
it's also
situation
in that
where we're-
situation, your legs are spread like
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
we're
your
already
most
vulnerable.
exposed
yeah,
times. Like,
never
you gotta
mind.
trust.
Before he even fucking touches you, he's
Yeah.
looking at you as
Like no man's gonna want to be in that
Right.
situation. Like
right, and
it's
then,
uncomfortable to watch as a man.
and then it's like, so to minimize Planned Parenthood, with less than 10% of the services provided by Planned Parenthood involve abortion. This is accessible care for people who want to be there, because nobody works at Planned Parenthood that doesn't want to be there, that doesn't want to serve their people. And you take that fucking away? Why? For what? Yeah, so I'm genuinely scared as... And man, it's gonna come to us. It's just like we tell white people that the racism is your problem, but it's not. Black people are not gonna solve it. We can't solve it because it's your issue. We can only react to it and try to cover home. But until you fix this shit, it's gonna be this shit. It's the same thing when you get into the patriarchy, where like, okay, none of us are. We say none of us at the table are voting or passing these laws and everything. But if any of you don't watch The Handmaid's Tale, that shit is not far off. Like so much of the shit that led up to the establishment of Gilead and that oppressive ass regime has happened already. I'm not saying it is happening, might happen, has happened. And when the shit comes, it's gonna come to us. Men are gonna be the ones enforcing these laws, and it's gonna be men that need to fight back against these laws. So you put your hand in your saying, well, that's not me. What can I? No, it's you, because just like Second Amendment, there's plenty of people who say they will not comply. If they ban our guns, you're gonna have to come take it from us and everything. And there are some. I'm one of them.
I'm one of them too.
But we need to have that same attitude about our women. And that's just what it is. All right. So long live the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If you haven't seen her movie, her biopic, what was it? If It Pleases the Court, or
No,
hold on, let me Google that. But just a true titan of
on
humanity.
the basis of
sex. That's what it
yeah.
was. And I was waiting to go see that, and I saw it the first day, and I was blown away about the things that she dealt with. And really, even if you don't want to hear about her, watch that movie and see how her husband was able to support this dominant woman, but never once was he submissive or passive. He let his woman cook, and he was Pippin to the Jordan. You know what I mean? But Pippin's an all-star. Pippin's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He was a big deal, and there's room for this.
He wasn't intimidated by her success and by her.
To quote Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when asked how many women need to be on the Supreme Court, and she said 9. And that's an affront to a lot of men. Oh, here she is pumping that feminist agenda and this and the third. And it's like, you don't bat an eye when there's 9 men on there. Okay, so why do you immediately think that 9 women is going to be a problem? Is it because you think that they have to disturb your privilege? Because if everything was equal, then what do they have to change? Mm-hmm. They don't. So the disturbance of your privilege, you view that as an attack versus equality. Women need to be present in all places where decisions are made. Another quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm genuinely scared for our women, but I'm ready to fight, and I hope the rest of you are. Moving on to more headassery. Attorney General Barr, and is just the opposite spectrum of somebody of a legal mind and a bootlicker, likened the precautions that Americans are being asked, not even Soviet Russia, you will do this, asked in the face of a virus that has killed 200,000 plus Americans, to just wear a fucking mask, to stay the fuck away from people, to wash your goddamn hands, which people are not washing their goddamn hands. Like, I was in Sam's Club and I had to yell at him, like, you're just not gonna wash your hands? And this dude was bigger than me. You know me, I'm like, I'm gonna get the cooties beating his ass. Like that's what I'm thinking about. I can't even fire off on you like I want to. Likened it to slavery. And there are 2 camps of morons who do this shit. There are the ignorant ones who honestly think that they have a concept of slavery that most of the world has, because most slavery was not built like the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, like even from the Roman Empire and other places, yeah, they had slaves. Many of them were captured in war and everything, but everybody born from a slave wasn't automatically a slave. They assimilated you into their culture. You know what I mean? Like, and you still preserved your identity, but you got beat. Nobody was bred like animals. Nobody was, raped and pillaged in perpetuity. Nobody was seen as less than a human. We just beat you. I'm not gonna say nobody was looked at as superior because that's by nature what it takes to make someone a slave. But nobody looked at you as a fucking animal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The transatlantic slave trade was like no other iteration of slavery that this world had ever seen. None. So for people to boil that down to wearing a mask, even if right now we were forcing you to wear a goddamn mask.
You're not sitting in your shit while you're doing it. You're not chained and shackled.
But bro, and this is a huge stereotype, but I have a different exposure because of the industry I'm in.
By all means, white man, let us know.
Every person that's upset about it is the same demographic. It's the 50-plus-year-old Trump supporter.
Yeah, but you got the younger Karens, you got the younger, the ones they raised.
But even then, like, dude, all the college students that come to my facilities, all of them. I mean, 40,000 college students.
And you're a bar owner, a restaurant owner?
I've not had one issue with a student. Tell him put a mask on. Okay, sorry.
You also have Nam working your front doors.
He's not.
What?
No, the club isn't open.
So this is like a different bar.
If Raphael the Ninja Turtle was a human and Asian, nah. Okay, he's dumb. You can look him up on YouTube. I'll let you plug his YouTube later, but yeah he's dumb strong. Gentle giant, but dumb strong.
But it's like it's such a stereotypical demographic. Like you can't help but get mad at it. It's just dumb motherfuckers.
And you're in Pence country, aren't you?
It's just stupid people that don't want to listen. It's like, what are you really mad at? The only thing you have to lose is a minor inconvenience for wearing a piece of cloth over your face.
And you might not catch the fucking Rona.
But I'm saying, even if all that shit's bullshit, let's say at the end of the day, scientists were wrong. The only thing it cost you was a little bit of inconvenience to care for someone else. That's insane that you have that little compassion for other people.
Right, because the mask is not care for other people when I can care so much about myself.
But like, it's not even like it's a major ask. It's not like you're losing money.
Yes, to us rational people.
You know what it comes down to? People are finding out that their breath is fucking tart.
Dude, I drink way too much coffee. I found that out. So, I love jiu-jitsu. I'm addicted to it. At the gym we go to, they make you train in a mask. If I can survive as an asthmatic with a mask on in jiu-jitsu where I'm getting the living shit kicked out of me, you can wear a mask to go to the bathroom. And
that's the sell. It's like the mask is not the main. The mask doesn't. Because I was on that trip too. I'm like, if this is an airborne virus, it's this big. You need an N95 or better. Because I have a scientific background. So I didn't buy the cloth mask. Thankfully, because of my job, I come in contact with human contaminants sometimes after accidents and everything. So I had a shit ton of N95s that I never used. But I also stayed my dumb ass in the house. I'm like, if I can avoid being somewhere where it's just like the gun, I have a concealed carry permit, and whenever I was allowed to carry, I would, like, wherever, Maryland doesn't honor my permit because fuck Maryland. But even in the places where I would carry my gun like my cell phone, I would feel naked leaving the house without my gun. Not because I was ready to cap a motherfucker, but it was like
stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready.
To carry, if you're not like that, you're not ready, because 98% of being armed has nothing to do with actually shooting someone. You need to be comfortable carrying, being able to deploy safely without ripping around to your leg, etc. Soapbox. But the point is, when I was carrying it, I knew why I was carrying it. It's for my own protection and everything.
But you also know that if you were gonna throw hands, you'd throw hands and not pull a gun. You're not gonna pull that shit unless you fear for your life.
And when I'm armed, I don't fight. Like I said, I'm about that. But there's no such thing as a fight when you're armed, because now you have to shoot the person and you created that situation. Because if they get your gun from you, guess what they're gonna do to you? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm at my calmest. But the sell was, I didn't believe in wearing the mask because it wasn't gonna keep me from getting the cooties. And even the CDC was back and forth. Part of that was because Trump was injecting himself into it. But then the other, when they came out and said, okay, not only does it's effective, but not in the way that you think. You wear protection because you wear armor. If I were to wear body armor, it's not to keep you from getting shot. It's from me. But when they came out that the benefit of the mask was not going to be from keeping you from catching it. It does reduce your risk because it's a physical barrier, but it's not to the vector. So if somebody were to spit, it would stop the spit. But it's not going to stop the actual virus from getting through. With the benefit of the mask is that if you have it, it makes it so much harder for you to spread to other people because it redirects the cloud that comes out of your mouth every time you even talk, not even shouting.
I know y'all don't be
going out.
covering your mouths when you sneeze and cough.
You know, and when that high velocity is coming out from you sneeze, it redirects it versus the cloud of contamination everywhere. So the real sell here is that by wearing this face condom, you're not giving anybody else the cooties that you already have. But because Americans need to know that it's not affecting me, we're the most spoiled people on the fucking planet. And I already knew that just from being in the military. When you travel, there's something called the ugly American, where we go to other people's countries and just expect them to expect Americans and cater us. Automatically speak English, automatically want our money, automatically thank us for like, you know, whatever it may be. You go to these military bases in Germany and everything, and they love us there, but at the same time, it's like we throw parties and stuff like that, regardless of what is going on. Regardless.
Say, bro, did you just say
irregardless? You know what I'm saying? But regardless of whatever German society is doing, hey, they gotta work. Why are we celebrating our 4th of July with these fireworks? Like, okay, you had your day, stop. We can't even get people to stop shooting off 4th of July fireworks here for a month. But imagine in Germany, like, but you can't say shit. You know what I mean? Like, so the world already hated us, and the only time that ever changed for me was when we were in London and Obama was the president and people were coming up to us. We stuck out like sore thumb. I was the only man in London wearing Jordans.
I mean, you are wearing a flag as a cape, so, you know.
Well, yeah, I was pretty badass. But I also had on Jordans, and I literally had this old mafia Godfather-looking American dude come up, and I just got shoved by a dude who didn't understand personal space, and I had to check him on the tube. That's the subway. But we're getting money, and this guy is staring at me, and I'm feeling, I'm like, Brittany, get to my right side, because I'm going to need my hand. And he comes up, and he's literally smoking a cigar, maybe like 5'4". He's got like the blazer on with the ascot. He comes on, he's like, Americans. And that voice, I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, fuck yeah. And I was like, Team America. You know, like, they love us over there for nothing else than our president was respected. It's not like they forgot that we come over here and act an ass, but they tolerated us because they had faith that this guy wasn't arbitrarily going to start a war with them, or you know what I mean, like, and that shit is out the fucking window. I ain't been out the country since Trump was in office, and I have no desire to. Let's
talk about him. Let's, please.
So, and then you know, A.G. Barr, he's just a microphone for what Trump's people, his base say. I don't even know if these are his original thoughts. I just know that he's the mouthpiece for it because this is what.
For the record. I got you.
Man, you put me on to too many whiskeys. This guy is a whiskey palate. Like guys, you need a woman in your life who knows wines, because I don't. But you also need a bro who knows about whiskeys, and it's not all about paying for the most expensive whiskey because you can buy some expensive bullshit. You know what I mean? So he's my connect.
I know that TJ Maxx buy.
Yeah.
Why is that on the shelf?
So it's like. But to equate it to slavery, so those are the ignorant ones. And ignorant means that they just don't know better. Like, if you knew better, you do better. There's that. And then there's the propaganda wing. Because you see the whitewashing of what slavery was. How books are being rewritten to make it seem like it was just a job with bad hours. Or, you know, like... Or you know, they came and they did us a favor by teaching us Christianity and all this other bullshit. Oh, and Africans sold slaves and everything. I was like, what? Like, what does this have to do with the fact that for 400 fucking years... Mm-hmm. We were not people.
And they also make it seem like it was like
so long
7,000 years ago.
Like
I know.
I'm 35. That means my great-great-grandfather was a slave or the first generation. And I'm young. There are people who are old enough whose grandparents were born slaves. Mm-hmm. Emmett Till is the same age of what would be the same age as Morgan Freeman. And that's Jim Crow. And you know, that's why I was so petty over the night. As a veteran, you would think I would never, I won't say desecrate, but mock 9/11. I wasn't mocking 9/11. I'm mocking the rest of you motherfuckers who seem to be selectively remembering what you want to remember, but telling us to get over the shit that's inconvenient to you.
Yeah.
You motherfuckers ain't forgave OJ. But you clearly forgot that if OJ did it, a cop still tried to frame him. That's why black people celebrate OJ, not because he killed 2 white people.
We celebrate Obey too.
Obey with Maryland. Yeah.
She got me an Obey too.
Ain't there's Obey house now? Like,
yeah.
what is it?
Fire.
Yeah. Get you some. Order that shit.
Yeah.
Real Merlin shit. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, we don't celebrate OJ getting away with murder. We don't celebrate OJ killing 2 rich white people. We celebrate the fact that even a supposedly guilty man, that they tried to frame him. That's why OJ was acquitted. even if those jurors were ready to just say, fuck it, he did it, they handed the defense an acquittal with that glove stunt. And then he still remained a cop. Explain that shit. So, yeah, it's just a climate thing. It's a propaganda thing. And that's why, back to last week, I said, stop arguing with white people. I mean, tell them about themselves. Don't remain silent because they'll take that as complete. But protect your peace. When you argue with somebody and you think you're operating in good faith and they're not, you can internalize the fact that they're just, it's like talking to a wall. And you can dismiss one or two, but when it can affect your mental if you think that everybody you talk to, there's no hope. I go at it with white people, but I have no expectation of changing their mind. No. I'm verbally slapping you.
But the
you know what I mean? Like,
the people that are going to change white people's minds,
take
it. No, it's not. It's going to be the black person they care about. So I grew up always thinking I wasn't racist because you grow up in this bubble and you have these expectations of like, no, this is my friend. We go out and drink, but you don't have those tough conversations, especially as a man. Like, how many friends do you have of other races that you go out with them and you chill with them? You don't have heart to hearts.
Yeah, no, we talk about.
You don't have that, broads. So you just we're like boys, but you're not like tight like that. So until you have someone open your eyes to it and actually listen and care about, like Brittany's opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that, as a man, you have this ego that you just have this expectation, like in your heart of hearts, you know, you care about everyone, but you don't realize some of the gifts you've been given and some of the other things that you've taken advantage of in the past. And we don't like to, as people, we don't like to admit that, you know, we can change, that we have to do better. So it's going to take that black person in your life that you want to listen to. And the key is you have to want to listen. Like, we're given 2 ears and 1 mouth. And until you want to listen to that, it's not going to matter. No white person can teach you what racism is like because we don't know. All
right. So I'm going to take that and ask you a hard question. As the father of my high yellow but black ass nurse. Niece.
She could be a nurse. I don't know, maybe.
Sky's the limit. But as the father of my black ass niece, how do you intend to live up to that? Because like you said, no white person can teach another white person about race, but what lessons are you going to, do you plan on following my sister's lead, or where do you plan, what is your agenda for my niece, as far as, you see how
can't get it right.
You're trying to take her, she's mine, to one, arm her for the world that she's entering, you know, but then prepare her to not be limited.
So it's a little bit two-pronged. One, like you have, like my job isn't to teach her about race. My job is to teach her about making sure that she's always respected. So as a woman and as a black woman, whatever it is, she's always going to know what it's like to have a man that respects you. And my job, I can only show her that by showing that this is how I need to treat your mom, no matter what the circumstance is.
Right.
She needs to see how I see her mom in my eyes, not how when we're fighting, not any of the other bullshit. Like, she will only know how to be treated by a man based on how I treat her mother. So that's my job.
Absolutely.
And then the other job is, you know, I have people like Brittany, who's, you know, a strong, independent woman. Then we have, like, I bring my sister into it, another strong, independent woman.
And mother of mixed children.
They're going to teach her how to whoop fucking ass. Like, you need to know how to protect yourself. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, like, that matters.
Well, that's well and good, but
so like... I can give her the emotional strength of, here's how a man should treat you, don't settle for less. And then you have a strong woman who can identify, here's how women should conduct themselves, and you have to stand up for what you believe, and you have to have a voice, and you have to be strong. On the other side, teach her how to do that.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't teach her how to be a woman.
Absolutely. And that's I'm so terrified of ever being the father of a little girl. I'm like, what do I do?
Dude, it's the best thing in the world.
What do you feed them? It looks amazing, but I'm just terrible. I'm operating without a net. But that's all well and good as a father raising his daughter. But there's going to come a day that she's going to get sassed by some racist cunt. And hopefully, best case scenario, she brings it back to you and tell. And it's easy enough to go on a war path and everything. But I promise you, before that day comes, and if all things are right, she feels comfortable to want to even bring it up, because there are plenty of kids who internalize that shit and never say anything. You know, and I don't speak this into existence at all, but it's just like, when I was a kid, kids killing themselves was, what? And maybe we don't, it would never cross my mind. And, you know, like, maybe I didn't get bullied. But that's besides the point. It's just, I never would, if you told me that as a kid, I'm like, these are adult problems.
It's definitely more prevalent.
And then too, obviously we don't have social media, so who knows what the factors are that are bringing up. But we've seen kids as young as 7 and 8 kill themselves. Like, how do you even fucking know how? You know what I mean? To do
how's life that hard when you come home? You can't forget about it. Like, you can't just watch Power Rangers on the couch and have a Lunchables. You know what I mean?
So I say that only in best case scenario that our vocal but wordless young person immediately brings that to you, and it's easy enough to be dad and go on a warpath. But before that ever happens, there are going to be microaggressions.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, there's a common theme with black women where people just want to touch their hair at all times. So when you see this, you know, she's a baby now, so it's adorable, and your family's your family, but with strangers, oh, she has such nice hair. Do you pick up on that as a microaggression? Like, why wouldn't it be nice? Or do you pick up on the things that, and I look to you to clue him on that shit because, you know, of the microaggressions, again, because long before that first rape, like, I didn't get called a nigger until I went to Oregon. And to put that in perspective, obviously it just wouldn't happen in DMV, especially PG. Although now it's happened to friends of mine ever since Trump took office. But it was just never like you're going to get beat the fuck up in PG. I expected it to happen in Alabama and it never did. I got treated like one a couple times, but it never just came out. I had to go to the Oregon coast to get called a nigger. And I was just like, what? I wasn't offended. I was just like, oh wow, did I hear that? Okay. And the second time was in North Dakota. But my point is, long before any of that happened, that is not to say those were the first 2 times I experienced racism in my life. So there's going to be microaggressions. Are you doing the work to tune yourself into what those microaggressions might be so that by the time she meets it, she's already been armed not to let the little shit, because it's cumulative. You know, all these little micros, then you have a little sucker attack from some little stupid kid where normally would just bounce off of you. But because she looks back on it where she's never getting picked for shit, or everybody else is having sleepovers and she's not invited.
That's my real job as a parent, though. It's beyond the racism part. Like I said, I can't. The older I've got, the more I've realized I can't pretend to understand something that I'll never be able to understand. I mean, I can't pretend to know what it's like to be black and be called the N-word. Like I don't have that experience.
Right.
So what I can teach her is that I do know what it's like to be picked on. I do know what it's like to have someone else not think highly of you when you're young. That matters. Like when you're young, it hurts your feelings.
Right.
So I can teach her
I'm
as
dead
you
inside,
get older.
so I resort to violence.
But I can teach you as you get older, you need to be able to let that shit brush off your shoulders, and you need to be able to focus on what matters. And the bottom line is, everyone's not going to always like you.
Right.
There's going to be people that don't like you for good reasons and some bad. But you need to respect yourself, and you need to know
demand and command respect.
Exactly. And sometimes there's just going to be shitty people in the world, and you have to accept the fact that some people just suck, and you need to surround yourself with great people and surround yourself with love, and that's all you can do.
I'll buy that, but I will also challenge you to have the lens. Like, take your approach, but when you're doing your review of everything you wanted to say to her or could have said to her, ask yourself, could this have a racial implication to it? Say what you want to say, but then, and if there's even a slight yes, address it. And go with it. Like, I'm not saying this was racist, but there's going to come a time where it is. And this is nothing you've never seen before. You know what I mean? Because that's when I got called a nigger, I wasn't upset. Like, so, and I liken it to this. It's going to sound real egotistical, but if you were the popular kid in high school,
I was not.
But let's just say you were that guy. You were the athlete. You were the swaggy one, whatever.
I was an athlete. I just wasn't popular.
But let's say you were hypothetical. You were that dude, and some weirdo who got no girls, who had no athletic ability, who wasn't like super smart, didn't have nothing to distinguish themselves, was talking shit about you. Would that bother you?
In high school or now?
In high school.
In
high school, yeah.
I mean, you might defend your rep. You might punish him. But would your core be bothered by somebody so beneath you?
Absolutely.
Really?
If you were the popular, not like you as like Curtis, but like if you were the popular kid, you were the jock.
Like, everybody else loves you, but this one weirdo.
But it depends on your ego. Because some of those popular kids have an ego.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that talks shit has a problem. Like when you're a bully because of ego.
Mm.
Like I'm a firm believer in that. Like I tell Brittany all the time.
I thought you were just insecure, but...
No, there's ego. What makes you insecure? It's ego.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
It's ego. It's because you are so unconfident with some part of your being that you need to prove dominance.
Okay. So maybe I'm built different and I'm the opposite of an egomaniac, because I was about to call myself an egomaniac until you broke it down. But here's the thing. Unless you were on my level or better, your opinion don't mean shit to me. If you called me something that offends me, it's not what you said or the connotation. Like if you called me a bitch, oh, you really think I'm a pussy. Or if you called me a nigger, oh, you really think I'm a slave, or you could own me or some shit. It's the fact that you felt safe enough. Because I told you I resort to violence. You thought shit was sweet enough that you were just going to get that off in front of me without consequences. I don't care if after this ass whooping you still think I'm a nigger. That's fine. In fact, I prefer it that way because I like my enemies to be in uniform. What I couldn't stand was like people that I would serve with that I thought were my friends. They maybe were at best were my friends in a certain capacity, but when we were out of uniform, it was like, okay. or only like me as much as I could serve them, and then it wasn't, you know. And that's a lot of problem. Oh, your black friends, a lot of your white friends only like you. They don't like black people. They say they like black people because they like you, and you're evidence of that. But one, you're on tenuous ground, and then two, they don't like other black people the same way they like you. So my thing is like, the fact of the matter is black culture drives the world, especially in America. When white people always want to dance like us, they want to hoop like us, they want to ball like us, they want to talk like us, they want to dance like us, and that's fine because we're lit. You know what I mean? And there are dope white people too. Like, but it's just like, you can't talk shit to me when everything you do is driven by this. Even down to, that's what they hated Lil Nas X for country and everything. They're like, yeah, black people just don't do country. It's not that we can't. You know what I mean? It's like, so what your opinion don't mean shit to me. The most it would mean shit to me is if like you're denying me of a loan or something that I need. But then it's not even about what you said to me. It's about the power that you have over me. But if it's just an insult, when I fuck you up, do not think it's because my feelings are hurt. It's because I don't say shit to anybody that I don't expect to get punched in the face with. Like you know, I don't say anything that I say it all the time. I talk crazy to people on the internet. But I hope you guys know that I would say that same shit to them right here. I don't care how much bigger they were to me. I feel like, and we're finding out with Karens and like, they wouldn't do this shit in front of you. And when they do, they're suddenly victims. That's the problem I have with racists. Not that you're racist. Please be racist and be it loud so I can identify you.
Right.
Part of it's understanding what racism is, though.
Yeah, people think it's insults and shit. Like,
and again, I've learned so much over the last 4 or 5 years, but you think racism is just like, if I outwardly express myself as not liking you because you're black, or saying the N-word.
That's the only way I can be racist.
That's prejudice.
Well, again, I grew up in a little bit of a bubble, and I've had some wonderful people in my life of all sorts of cultures, but until you have that conversation with someone that you have the deep, meaningful conversation with, sometimes you don't get it.
Yeah, you just assume what you know is what you know.
Yeah,
and then,
so I think it extends beyond what people
I don't say the
think
N-word,
is
so I'm
racist.
not racist.
Yeah.
I would rather you say the N-word, because the N-word bounces right off of me, and it just much like my hook will bounce right off your chin. Like that doesn't bother me.
If it's bouncing off, you need to follow through.
You're right. Gotta release
Rotate,
release the
rotate,
shoulder, release
yeah.
turn the hips.
My sister will teach you school.
Indeed. So,
but like,
oh, go ahead,
kind of piggybacking off of this conversation, you know, obviously, I look like a black woman, obviously, because out of all of us, I'm probably the darker complected. I'm not probably. I am the darkest complected.
There's 4 of us, and you got
yes.
all of it. So.
Yes, pretty much. I am the darkest of all of us. But you know, we're half black, half.
I can't
El
pass. There's
Salvadorian.
never been a time where like people assumed I was. They might assume I was half white.
Yeah.
They just knew I was mixed, but there was never a time where like I can just pass.
Yeah.
I think the closest person they could ever do, maybe Jordan, until
Yeah.
she opens her mouth, and then yeah.
Yeah. So, but like I look more black than you guys because just by the nature of my skin. Cora, you know, she's kind of a like perfect blend between the two of us. So she
Speckled.
falls
Not like
somewhere.
raisin season, like good season.
She's dusky.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if it is.
you know, especially given the past 4 years of, you know, Trump being in the presidency and whatever, you know, Curtis and I have had to have some really hard conversations. I remember on election night, was it the night or the next day?
I think it was after I voted.
It was,
shit.
you know, he's a Republican and I'm a Democrat. And, you know, it was trying to get him to explain. And I think this is one of those things where, you know, you kind of get perspective, but it kind of doesn't happen until after you're like, oh shit. But, you know, we were in different points of our lives then. Like we had just started dating, you know, a year before. It was probably about a year.
We were living together, I think, at that point.
Yeah, it was a year that we've been dating, and you know, him being a business owner, and you know, thinking kind of from that lens about, you know, how will these candidates, you know, help with the business, and you know, he was kind of thinking on that end of it, and I'm more so, you know, thinking on it from, you know, healthcare, you know, foreign policy, like all these other lenses.
Not getting put back in the middle passage.
Right, you know, our family members who live out of the country, like, are they going to be able, like, yeah, they're citizens and, you know, whatever, but they have dual citizenship, so, you know, is that still going to be honored? And, you know, just coming
Our
from
grandmother
different...
who was alive would
Yeah.
come back and forth because she's an American citizen, but she lived in El Salvador, and she would come back for treatments. So how does that change. She's
Right.
not with us anymore, but it's like she lived to see this asshole. You know what I mean? Like take over.
But yeah, and then I don't think we talked about like who we were voting for, but I guess we kind of knew. And then when he blatantly told me that
Euro stepped that conversation,
right, when he blatantly told me that he voted for Trump,
which
like,
I didn't know until like a month or two ago. But I respect you for not.
I denounce him now. I think as a man, it's really important when you say you make a bad decision. Like, not to cut you off, but I had my reasons then, and I stand strongly by my reasons then. But in hindsight, like, I think there's a very different.
You got to choose.
There's a difference between a Republican and a Trump supporter, and I fucking hate Trump. He's a piece of shit because at the end of the day, I think you can look at two things: is one, the president has limited power, and two, the biggest influence the president has is how he conducts himself. And if you take Obama, and you could disagree with all of his policies. If your child acted like Obama, you would not be ashamed. You'd be proud of yourself.
Right.
If your child acts like Trump, you'll be ashamed. And the last thing I want as a man, even though I did vote for him, like I'm not voting for him this time around, is the fact that I do not want him to be what my daughter thinks is how a man should be and how he conducts himself.
Grabbing women by the pussy.
He could have
calling people nasty.
He could give us the strongest economic plan ever. But I think we often, and I was guilty of this at one time too, is we focus so much on the politics of it, we start lumping just a basic moral compass and social rights in with politics, and it's different. Like, you're either a good person or an asshole, and that's it. Democrat and Republican are different. We could talk about economic policy and still be friends. We can't talk about, oh, you're a racist piece of shit and still be friends. Like, there's a difference in it, and I think that's where, like, America's on two totally different levels. You have these quite frankly dumb rednecks I grew up with who, some of them in some capacity I'm friendly with. They just get so hooked on the ego of like, no, like I'm a hard worker and you're saying white privilege means I didn't have a hard life, and they're not willing to listen, and they get so hooked up in their ego that they just double down on their stupidity, and that's when you get fucked up. Is like you double down on your limited experience.
Never left your home state. You don't see anything anywhere except what it was for you. Mm-hmm. And even if you had to struggle, if I was in that same position, I would have to struggle that much more because I'm in the same position. But my excellence is now pitted against your mediocrity. And that's not to say that you are mediocre. It's just that you don't have to do half the shit I have to do.
Like, why should I get offended by saying our paths might have been different because I never had to face this one battle you had? Like, that doesn't mean I'm lazy. Right. It doesn't mean I had an easy path. But until someone explained it to me, I don't like to live my life through memes.
Right.
But sometimes memes help. There's times where memes are good. And the one was like, said something along the lines of like, white privilege doesn't mean that you had an easy life. It means one challenge you never had was your skin color. Like, who in their right fucking mind can't understand that? Like, that they take the word privilege and they think that it's meaning it's easy and it's a gift. It's not. It's saying that this is one challenge you didn't have. You didn't have the same hurdles that
I have.
Right.
But yeah, but we...
That was a hell of a tangent, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a work in progress. That's what it is.
The Glenn Levitt hit a little bit. It got me on buzzing.
It's a work in progress, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but at the same time I did, because it's like, these are things you got to think about before they happen. I'm not saying have it all mapped out and everything, because you're not going to know shit's going to change. There's going to be examples to use or not use, but it's just like, if you're just looking at it from one position, you never even bother to prepare yourself for what else could be at play. So that's the only reason I brought that up.
No, and we have those conversations, which is like a great part of our relationship, that it's, he's obviously not oblivious to the fact that, hi, I'm black. And, our daughter is, whether she looks more white or she looks more black, whatever, the fact of the matter is she's a mixed child. So she's going to look ethnic. But
notice our hair does not look like Candace Owens. It's not dried and depleted. All right, there's a way to do this.
It's the prenatal.
Okay, like there's a way to do this. I'm like, what's that broad from this running for Elijah Cummings' seat in Baltimore?
Oh, I haven't
keep going. Go ahead.
We got our own cookies to crumble in PA, but the nice thing about the two of us is that when these issues come up,
Kim Klasick,
we have enough respect for each other where we're talking about these things, and like for instance, the situation over my birthday, we were having a party. We were trying to call one of my friends who lives in England, and I had 2 numbers saved for her, and I went to FaceTime her, and for some reason it connected to an old number that she used when she would be stateside, and I guess the number had been reassigned, whatever. So we FaceTime, no one answers. And then I get a FaceTime call back from who we think is my friend. And, you know, me and my other friends answer the phone. We're like, hey, you know, what's up? Da, 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 da. And then the girl immediately, like, is rude. She calls me a nigger. She tells me to go pick cotton, like all this
The
other
hard
shit.
ER. And the whole
Yes.
time she's like 20 maybe. Like,
Yeah,
she's
she
some
was
young
young.
little
Yeah.
shit that y'all can't see my sister's arms. All right, I might put you on the. Oh, I don't have the green screen. Fuck. But next week I'll do it. I'm gonna just have her in the background. Like, me and my sister used to play. I was a jerk to her growing up. But what was it like? I want to say like 17, 18. I stopped play fighting with her because my sister is just strong enough to hurt me, which would make me snap. She kicked me one fucking time, and I was like, I can't do this with you anymore because I'm legit hurt. And the only thing I know to do right now is to hit you for real, and this is all my fault.
Now take that. Now take that pain and have a sister that can
Right
actually
here.
beat you up.
Right here. This is
Actually
where
beat you up.
That's how I'm getting back. This is the real reason I'm shedding
right
the
here.
pounds.
This is where you have me fucked up.
This is the real reason I'm shedding the pounds because yeah, she's dangerous now. But the point is, it's like, what is the point? This is like, where was I going with this? Yeah. My sister would manhandle this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, and feel bad. What do you need?
Your cup.
Oh.
Not mine.
Would feel bad the whole time doing it. But shit needs to get done. I wouldn't let my sister hit me. Like, if my sister swung at me, I'd be blocking for real and trying to end it. Woe to the bitch.
Right, and like you said, I wasn't upset that, you know, she called me a nigger. Like,
Stop.
okay,
Audacity.
like,
You fucked up your whole vibe.
That's-
I'm buzzing.
that's- right.
Like, you could have said wrong number, bitch.
Bitch,
Like,
it's my
You were trying to
birthday,
call
right.
your friend.
it
Right,
was
I was-
so unnecessary.
and
Like,
she was like, you guys are ghetto, and I'm like,
you've never been.
okay, bitch, maybe, but anyway.
Like, even if I was, if you really
Right.
thought I was ghetto, you would not be talking to me like this.
Right,
It's
exactly.
a fucking
But
candy.
it's just the fact that, you know, that's the first thing that they go to is like, oh, calling me a nigger. Okay.
And people
is
from
that,
the ghetto are proud of being from the ghetto.
I'm like, is that all you can
But
do?
if I
like,
called you trailer trash, so actually there are some
Right.
who are proud of the trailer, but they're the useful ones. They can like fix your car with a rubber band and a paper clip. Like,
Hey, I want to put this on record. There's a lot of good rednecks out
no,
there.
absolutely. Like,
There's more bad ones.
if you need your car fixed with nothing,
You see this cork I fashioned
yes,
up
look
myself.
at this shit. Hold on, hold it up to the.
See that? There's a doorbell.
Yeah, like if you need some
Corporate
shit improvised on some MacGyver level shit, if the apocalypse is coming, y'all need to eat, and you need some squirrel sushi or whatever it might be. The redneck is the best
Squirrel
motherfucker. Like Daryl, think Daryl from The Walking Dead. That is the best motherfucker to have in your camp.
I know if this
Real
shit
rap
for COVID
though,
gets
like-
real, who's coming to my house?
Exactly.
It's you.
Get away from people. I'm bringing the guns. Like,
Real rap when COVID first hit and you know they were talking about a meat shortage because you know everyone's going to the
Pause.
store buying up everything. Curtis was like, look, you know, worst case scenario, if we can't go to the grocery store and buy any meat, like I can hunt. Like
My
I
stepdad
got
got
it.
18
Like,
acres. I'm ready.
like, we gonna have food. And I'm like, I mean, okay.
I told you I'm gonna live. But yeah. So it's like, but the vast majority you can't even say trailer trash on Facebook because that's a racial slur. How the fuck?
It's not.
I can't even say what I told you. I got thrown 30 days for putting white people, WYPIPO. And that, but there are white people literally typing nigger with the hard ER that to get banned you have to report this shit. Somebody has to go and
Yeah.
I have a question for you, for both you two actually, because I feel like there's this fine line of freedom of speech where you shouldn't infringe on it. I feel like hate speech should be banned. Like I just don't like it.
in a perfect world, it's. But I would
I
agree
guess
with you.
more from a social media standpoint. Like if you look at what social media was versus what it is
Yeah.
now, it's hate speech is ruined.
It has, absolutely. But it's just like Xbox Live. We've been dealing with this shit since fucking the first time we could online game. Like, you kill somebody in GoldenEye. Ah, nigger! Wait, could you play GoldenEye online? I don't know if
Nah,
could
you
play.
definitely could. It was N64, bro.
Yeah, what do we play on? No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
online.
Xbox
One.
One.
So.
It was Halo.
Halo.
Halo,
Halo.
yeah, the first one where it killed me. You know what I mean? Like, so, and they can say it through a mic because they're bold and
They
everything.
also got comfortable because, like, you start listening to hip hop and rap, and you get comfortable singing it in a
Yeah.
song, and the next thing
Right.
you know, like, I was guilty of that when I was
Arms are
younger. It's like
sweaty.
you don't realize what it means. What it means.
These weak arms.
But that goes to the point of like whitewashing like slavery and like our
To
history.
make you
like,
comfortable.
right, when you learn about slavery in elementary school, it's like you're like, damn man, that really sucks. But then when you become an adult and you really learn about slavery, you're like, shit.
Yeah,
like,
it
shit
sucked
was
for us when
heavy,
we
like-
learned about it, and then that was the kiddie version.
right.
They were actually so much worse.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson. I went to Montpelier. That's his house? Motherfucking Mansion?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just blown away at the history.
Right, you think
it was? I was thinking, I was like, it's a different time.
It was a different time. Like, it's
and they framed that. Oh, that was his girlfriend. His
yeah.
No, he was raping her.
Do you know what really fucked me up? This is gonna seem weird, so let me connect the dots before you fucking start laughing, especially coming from a Jew.
He said it.
Science, bro.
You heard it here first.
He's Jewish enough for Hitler. So I went to
do it again. Do it again. Say it again.
Jewish enough for Hitler. What was the movie that Mel Gibson did about Jesus?
Passion of the Christ. I watched that shit one time.
So my mom took me to Passion of the Christ. That's a whole nother story with my mom, but I went to see it, and it fucked me up because it's so graphic.
It's so vivid.
Yeah.
I had never seen an ass whipping like that.
When they put the joint and then it catches and then it breaks the skin.
And it shook me. And I was young and I thought I like...
Mind
you, I was a redneck. I got a deer. Like, I was like... The blood, it was just like, holy fuck, like this happened to a human.
Oh, yeah, he was black.
And that's when... But that's when it changed me to realize like what slavery was, because you think of whipping and like you don't get it.
Right. You think it's just a belt.
You think of a textbook like, oh, like it sucks.
No, he's ripping skin and muscle.
And that wasn't exaggerated or Hollywood dramatic. That was like, that's what happened when people got whipped. They got fucked up like permanently. Yeah. And like, how can you do that to another human if that doesn't change you?
Of the there's a poem called the choke cherry tree, because this dude got whipped. So and choke cherries are poisonous.
Yeah.
So it's a metaphor in the poem.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a metaphor in the poem, but slang back in the time was like, oh, he picked the cherry tree, because if you take his jacket off or whatever he was wearing, his back looks like the Timberland symbol, you know, the brand, and that's from however many and they used to let you heal just enough so they could keep ripping you again.
But if that doesn't change you to like truly understand and think about that, then you're a fucking piece of shit. Like, I'm sorry, I will not accept that as anything less.
There are white people who won't take that for a fucking dog. You know what I mean? And I feel like just like the birdwatcher thing I talked about it last pod, I feel like the only reason this got blown up was because that dog got yoked up. Because if the victim had his way, he wouldn't even hold her accountable. It took his sister to blow this shit up. Mm-hmm. He won't even testify against it.
I don't know if I know what you're talking about.
So you remember in Central Park, the birdwatcher guy?
Oh, yeah.
So it's his sister that made it viral because he wasn't going to report it, and then he's refusing to testify against her to like, oh, she ruined her life. Why? She almost lynched you, my dude. Literally, that's what that would have been. Mm-hmm. You know, and she even admitted, I'm a white woman, I know I can do this to you. And you're making allowances for her. But whatever. Can you imagine if one of us was acting like that? Yeah. I wish Morgan would go out there and embarrass me. And that's why I got out Jamon.
Yeah.
We got to police our own. But I certainly appreciate you for that, because you take the effort to go out and see. Besides, I honestly don't have a problem with racists. Just stay in your fucking lane, identify yourselves, and understand.
I don't have, and this is unfair for me to say because, again, I'm not. Her and I had an interesting conversation when I was young. I said I had some anti-Semitic issues when I was, my late teens, and this just sounds real stupid too. I identify as being Jewish because the family, half my family is Jewish, who I'm super close to. They're the ones I love and I'm compassionate for, and I'll do anything for.
They're all Jewish, but they're active practicing.
Yeah,
Jews.
They are, but I was raised in a church, but my heart is with my Jewish family, right. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. So when I encountered this
isn't about the holidays.
No, it shook me, and I just don't understand how people have no willingness to learn as you get older. And from that moment, I think each year it's like you have to be willing to learn and grow. So I can deal with young dumb people, because they're easily influenced. I can deal with a young, dumb racist, even though that's not fair of me to say because I'm white. I can deal with it. It's the people that are our age, a 30-year-old. Again, I've done stuff when I was younger, and I'm like, I was a fucking piece of shit because I didn't realize it. Like
Mark Wahlberg. I'm not going to make no excuse for Mark Wahlberg, but I promise you he was a different dude. I mean, he might still be a racist cunt, but right now he would have no excuse to be one. He grew up in a town where that was the default. Everybody thinks that racism is just the South and everything. No, Massachusetts, the so-called seat of liberty, Boston Tea Party. No, go to the wrong. When I say the wrong, I mean the non-black neighborhoods and see how they treat you. In New York, where people ran away from the South to get to these places, and suddenly they were free. Erroneous.
But we call 18-year-olds adults. We can all admit, I know you were not an adult at 18. I know you were not.
But I can be held liable.
You weren't, and I know you weren't 18. I certainly as fuck wasn't. It took me to I tell her 27 or 28 when I met her, where I really felt like I grew up. And that is when I cannot accept it. You are not willing to learn.
Digging in that ass, that's why.
Are we on a balloon knot yet? No.
We're gonna end that. Put a pin in that. Pause. Not a literal pin in that. But
so seriously, like you gotta be willing to grow up and learn. And if you're not willing to do that, then fuck you. That's a man shit.
It's a thing, and it's a constant thing. There's no reason to turn it off, but you gotta want to do it. And they're called growing pains for a reason. Moving on, because that was heavy. We could do that all night. Naomi Osaka carrying the torch, the passing of the torch. I don't think Serena is done yet, but passing the torch to the next generation of Black Girl Magic and dominance in the sport of Texas, the number one rated Texas. I'm drinking. Tennis player.
We probably drink more than we should have. I'm a little bit.
Like about drink. But the current number one and the highest paid female athlete ever, I believe it was.
I didn't even know that. As a fact
right now, she won the U.S. Open, and of course, I don't know if you heard about the controversy immediately following that. During every round of her play, she wore a face mask with the name of a recent victim of police brutality. But you think that would be controversy enough? I love the quote. I don't know if you heard it, but after she won, one of the reporters went up to her and said, "We noticed you wearing these masks. Were you trying to make a statement?" And I've been talked to by my boy Rich. Shout out to Rich, because I was annoyed by that. But at the same time, you got to look at it from a journalist's perspective. You don't want to necessarily drive a narrative, but you want to give. It's like the oop pass, like let her tomahawk it. So in that, I'll shoot her some bail. But when I heard it, I was like, "Bitch, what the fuck you think?"
No style,
but. She handled her own light work. She didn't need me because she even said, the real question is, what did you get from it? But you know what we're saying. You know what we've been saying. I'm not giving you that out. What did you get from it? And that's when I knew she was a real. You know, I mean, I always loved Naomi for the time that I heard about her because they try to erase her blackness. Oh, she's Japanese. Oh, she's Haitian. And they wouldn't even do the Haitians because the world tries to dismiss Haiti.
Yeah.
For no other reason than they were the only successful slave revolt. You know what I mean? That they. No matter how many hurricanes, tsunamis, whatever it is, they persist. You know what I mean? But they try to. Oh, her name's Osaka. Oh, she's the first Japanese, the first Asian. I'm black too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I fuck with her on that. But the real issue is, at least in my mind, so they pose for the trophy and everything like that in their prestigious country club. Because there's an air of bouginess in the tennis world. But then at some point afterwards, so the stadium's empty, the ceremony's over. Her boyfriend. Formerly YBN Corday, just Corday now. He's actually from Maryland, so shout out to Maryland. They posed for a photo op in which he flipped the proverbial bird to the.
He did. I don't think.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And all that she's smiling and everything, and she doesn't look like And I'm not even entirely sure if it wasn't Photoshop, but let's operate because I don't even think it needs to be. That doesn't seem like outside of what YBN Corday would do. You know what I mean? Just off strength of being a rapper, but let's say it's a legit photo. And that's when it happened after. React.
Well, I take less of a stance from a social team, but would you want your daughter, a young teenage girl, be with a dude flipping off?
You're the father.
The father mode would hit me there. It's
right.
It's not that.
And I can fuck with that.
If I was that young man in his financial position, I'd be in a different. You don't give. Right. I didn't give a fuck when I was 18, 19, 20, 21.
Right.
But it's my daughter. No, I'm gonna hold my daughter to a different.
She's got a brand.
I want her to be.
And never mind her brand, but you want to know that you're not going to dim her light.
Well, not only that, but I want her to be with a gentleman.
But it's also a time and a place for it. Bro,
right.
You could have saved this for maybe when she didn't just win.
But you saw Kanye pissing on Grammys. Kanye got those Grammys years ago.
Do you want your daughter with Kanye? Okay, fair. That's all I'm saying. It's I'm saying it depends what lens you look through.
I want to have a bigger pool than Kanye.
I think Kanye's like the Van Gogh of our generation.
Yeah, I'm
destructive. Don't even get me on that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't add him because we got something. I can do a pod on Kanye by myself.
I have so much appreciation for him and so much what the fuck, Kanye.
Yeah, it's just yeah. All right, so I get the father back, but maybe it's from the middle. I have not forgiven them for how they treated for 20 years Venus and Serena, and even before that, if you look, this is before my time. If you look at how they tried to marginalize Arthur Ashe. They wouldn't recognize his blackness and everything like that. Of how Venus and Serena did everything right. And they were from Compton. They had every reason to throw up, whatever it is. I think Serena crip walked one time, but even they didn't pick up on no gang shit because she's not a gang. They thought, oh, look at her little fancy Negro dance. You know what I mean? They did everything right. And even to this day, I'm not talking about 5 years ago,
they still get slurred wherever they go. You know what I mean? Like, and
They
they're
really?
dominant.
I don't know that. Like,
as recently as before she got pregnant, or before she took her break. That's why they were with the suit. Oh, she's over sexualized and everything, but it's literally a compression suit so she doesn't catch a clot and die. You know what I mean? Like it's.
And I mean this with the most respect. I think apart from my wife, she's one of the hottest women alive. Like, how can you not appreciate her as
safe?
Second place.
They're apart.
Not even a close second.
The Euro step.
What match was it where she was like challenging the ref and
Oh yeah, she was just pleading her case. Like, oh, you're so aggressive. Why are you yelling at me like
angry
that?
black woman, and it's like. I went on a rant about this, and it's like, just because I show emotion or passion about something that, I'm talking about, that doesn't make me an angry black
And to
woman.
their credit, the men stepped up. Andy Roddick, Roger Federer, McEnroe, who they're the most notorious. I'm trying to think of the equivalent of him in any other sport. Rodman in basketball, perhaps?
I don't know. Rodman's that's a bold move. There's no one like him.
Yeah, but I mean, in the tennis world, McEnroe.
Kind of. I'd picture McEnroe more like like a Bosworth, but successful.
Okay, yeah, no, that's legit.
Like Rodman was just such a unique.
Yeah, Rodman is weird.
Yeah. He's an institution.
He continues. We say was he continues to be weird. But it's just like, and the men stepped up and like, you never said that shit to me. You know what I mean? And I was way worse. She was polite. She wasn't even screaming at you. She was calling you ma'am. You can roll back my footage. Andre Agassi. You know what I mean? Like, to the credit, and that's what I'm saying. They recognize what this was, and that's why I brought up the microaggressions. This wasn't just about a woman, you say this to the women, and then why are you only saying it to her? Because I've seen Steffi Graf break a racket. I've seen Martina Hingis throw a racket. You know what I mean? Like, so, and not once did you come at them like this, So
I think that's part of the process of like women in athletics. Like, you got to get an appreciation for it, and I think that's what Serena and Venus did. They made it where it's fun to watch. I think in some ways women's tennis is more fun to watch than men's because you have them dominating.
They had me at the grunts.
Dominating.
I was like, wait.
It was the grunts.
And even Andy Roddick said, like, the only reason I can beat Serena is because my serve is that much faster than hers. But once you get into the points, like, you know what I mean? Like, but
it's the same way with Simone Biles. Like, she is just in a category of her own. And she's just untouchable. Like, she has taken the sport of gymnastics.
She has to beat herself, and even then, she beats herself and still.
I couldn't understand how good she was until you explained to me, and you like explained the point system. I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah. And when she makes mistakes, and she still points ahead of people.
Yeah.
Like full points.
Yeah, like she is just like the most incredible gymnast that will probably ever walk this earth. But there are other international gymnasts who are making comments about her because she's so good, and it's crazy and it's interesting. It's like it has nothing to do with her race. She is just an incredible athlete, an incredible gymnast, and you're hating on her because she just happens to be black, and that's the easiest thing for you to attack. Like, sorry, you suck. Like, that's not her fault. Like, do better.
Don't you think it's insecurity though?
Again, absolutely it is.
The older I've got, the more I realize it's like,
that's all it is.
That's what racism is too. It's insecurity
100%.
because you feel threatened by me and what I can do or what I'm capable of. And the
with
easiest
men
thing for
is
you
dick size and athleticism.
No, but
be honest.
The root of all racism comes from the penis thing. And
100%.
And listen to me, it's not even that, because there are plenty of black dudes who are not like dangling or whatever. But real quick,
I feel bad for you.
Real quick, it's like you're robbed of your birthright. But real quick, if you ever notice, if you look at all the old footage of or photos of lynch victims, they were never just hung or like beaten or whatever. They're hung and then their genitals are cut off and put in their mouth. And on the face value, that could just be like, okay, I'm that depraved and cutting you up and everything. But really, what to this day, what was the excuse that they used to burn down Black Wall Street? A white woman was raped, or the black brute and everything like that. And what it comes down to is, real quick, is just the psychological internalization that Caucasian genes are recessive, and all it takes is one black person. That's where the one drop rule to basically wipe out what they deem as a pure white bloodline. Okay, never mind the fact that we might make you less prone to Lou Gehrig disease and all this other shit. But Tay-Sachs. There you go. Yeah. So, and y'all were worried about that when no, y'all had to do the screening for taste.
No, it wasn't
We
taste
just did the screening because we were curious. We
Oh,
wanted to make
okay,
sure.
okay.
We wanted to mentally prepare
Yeah,
ourselves.
the
you
point
need to,
is-
like,
I like that for the storyline though.
Frances Cress Welsing, if any of you go read the ISIS papers, the late Queen Mother Frances Cress Welsing, who was attacked for her own credentials of psychology and anything, but she laid it out. The root of all racism is the fear of genetic annihilation, meaning that all it would take is integration and everything for white people to be bred out. Like as we know it. Not necessarily saying that, anything culturally would suffer.
Can I ask you an honest question?
Please do.
Like, interrupt. So, I love biracial families. Obviously, I'm part of one. My sister is part of one. Like, a huge portion of my life is biracial. But we look to 2050. I know so many people in biracial relationships. How do you feel about that? If at some point we're all going to be diluted, is that positive, negative, or indifferent?
I think it's positive from the standpoint is that
Because racism has to die, right?
But we would think so. We would think
Over 30 years.
Hear white people tell that racism would be dead now because the racists they're all old and boomers. And, no, but they're passing the torch. Okay, so at some point you're hustling backwards if you're discriminating against yourself. And suddenly, just like I told, Americans have to feel like it's benefiting them to do anything about it. So ideally, in 50 years, when everybody's some sort of tan, maybe.
I'm saying even in 30 years, like at some point, like when you're the minority, is that the solution or is that just prolonging the problem?
I mean,
I guess that's my question.
I think it is a road to it but black women don't want to hear that shit. They don't want us knocking out white women. But anyway, I think at the end of the day, if you have to give people skin in the game. White people are comfortable right now, so that's why they have the choice to either fight racism or not. Because it really, at the end of the day, we have no choice but to live with this shit. You know what I mean? But if you're kids, it's suddenly changed. That's why white women will vote for an asshole like Trump. Because even though white women are so fucking crazy, white women will go vote for Trump and then not even 2 weeks later go to a rally to protest Trump wearing pussy hats and all this other shit. It was the damnedest thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna interrupt. It also depends why you voted for him. Like, it depends why you
Business,
voted for him, and then also, are you willing to call bullshit on yourself? Like, at the end of the day, if you make a bad decision, you have to own it.
right.
I made a decision that was bad. I'll own
and that's
it.
great. But I promise you, out of that 53% of white women who voted for Trump, the majority of them are still going to vote for Trump. And they can frame it behind, like, I don't know if you watched the RNC about how great he is for women, how he promoted it. If they bought that hook, line, and sinker. But at the end of the day, even if he didn't do any of that, even if he said that the Handmaid's Tale is coming, they will vote for Trump because they will birth white sons. So they are protected because they are the avenue for white sons. They have inherent value. It may get back to the suffrage days and it might be bad for a little bit, but they are optimistic that there's a way forward because they've seen a way forward. Black people have been told we've made progress, but outside is 1968 with cell phones. Yeah. I mean, granted, not as many or not that are hanging from trees, but you literally have black people hanging from trees and they're telling us it's suicide. You literally have lynch mobs in the form of police. You literally, this shit is happening.
Can we talk about police too? Like, I'm into this.
Oh yeah, we're getting to that. Breonna Taylor's next.
Because I want to.
But I just wanted to bring up Naomi Osaka not only for celebrate her black girl magic, and the fact that she is not here for the erasure of her Haitian heritage, the erasure of her Japanese heritage, and the erasure of where she stands on the culture.
I think it's also impressive her age.
Yeah, she's
like,
young.
Can we fucking shout that out?
Yeah, like
Good
she's
Lord.
young, dominating against grown ass women.
Like, you played sports in high school, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Like, could you imagine? Like, LeBron's only.
We wanted to make varsity.
LeBron, I think, is 2 years older than me, and I always remember watching him. I'm like,
could you imagine somebody in my gym doing this? Fuck you.
One of my favorite stories is it was Midnight Madness in New Jersey. It's a tournament you had to get invited to. There were 6 levels. I was in the 3rd division. I got invited. I was super excited. And mind you, in the 3rd division, I was like 20th on the roster. Like, I shouldn't even have been there. I know that, but I went to a small school, so I could hoop for a small 6'2" power forward. Right. And that D1, whatever squad you want to call it, that 1st division comes out. And they're warming up, and then Kenya Martin walks in the door.
Kmart?
I'm like,
did he have the neck tat already?
Oh yeah, in the neck tat. But I'm like, why the fuck is
high
he here?
school? He had lips on his neck.
And that's no, but he was in the crowd.
Oh,
He was in the nets, and it was him and Kerry Kittles.
Okay.
And Hamilton were still playing. And he walks in just to watch. I'm like, shit, this must be nice. And these guys are warming up, and this dude is just banging on everybody, just warm ups, 360s, insane. First play of the game, catches at the right elbow, one dribble, not two, one dribble to the left side, tomahawks on everybody. My jaw dropped, and that's that moment I realized, I'm like, I ain't shit.
We ain't the same.
I'm never going to play D1. I'm never going to be shit. That's it.
Perspective.
After the game, we rode to the hotel. He was in the back, just busting jokes. And he's 6'9", dude's big as shit. I'm like, fuck, who is this guy? But that's when I realized I was never going to be a hooper. Now, granted, that dude was Josh Smith. And he was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But like
Where's
that.
He now? Is he still in the league?
I don't remember. Once he left the Hawks, I don't remember. But anyway, the point of the story was I was a child at that point, and he was a child, and the gap in his skill set versus mine was so fucking big. I was like, I can slap the backboard on layups, 2 hands.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, it was the next level. So now you have a 16-year-old or 16 or 17 now.
Who, Naomi?
Yeah.
No, she's 20-something.
She's that old. What was her first win then?
Oh, when she came out, she was like 16,
17?
17.
Wait, they're playing against adults now. So now you have like people like LeBron, 18, playing against grown-ass 30-year-olds.
She's 22. So yeah, so we've been watching her for like good 5 years now. So yeah,
that's crazy though. Like just the physical growth you have as an adult versus playing as a child, and a child can beat an adult is insane.
Coco's on the up and coming, so yeah. So she's 16. So yeah, just to celebrate her Black Girl Magic, and we hope, you know, everybody's like, oh, well, she needs to be humble because she's not quite Serena yet. Like, fuck you, because Serena was humble while she was Serena.
Right.
You know what I mean? And yeah, and I just like to juxtapose her against Tiger Woods, because Tiger Woods was dominant, was black and Asian. And in the same circumstance, in the same opportunity, he was like, well, I'm not really black. So we can see how this could go. So as usual, our queens are showing us how shit needs to be. While he's draining the main vein, moving on to Breonna Taylor. So for those of you who may not have been hip, and again, this is a week later, so I'm sure all of you know, but the family settled the civil lawsuit. They were awarded, no, not awarded. That's the word you got to use,
awarded,
but it was not an award to be won. This is not something that they will want. $12 million, as well as promises, if you will, promises, as far as reform measures to be implemented by the local police jurisdiction, to include the abolishment of no-knock raids, which I think was already in the works. Yeah. But they wanted to establish more oversight in the process for a warrant to even get signed or approved, let alone be submitted to a judge to be signed. And as far as oversight, as far as the backgrounds of their police officers, some other things I'm not really going to go into. My immediate reaction, and again I'm going to pass it to the parents later, was I was surprised, because I brought up on my last pod about how people were going after Ben Crump, and I believe there was another attorney that was also retained who was spearheading this aspect of the civil litigation. But I was surprised, first and foremost, that an agreement was made, and we still don't have charges against these police. And I say that only because most of the time the civil award or whatever is driven by the actual legal prosecutorial process. Like, are they found guilty, and to what severity, and everything like that. So I'm surprised that the family even allowed or accepted a settlement at this stage. But at the same time, I mean, this is not to judge the family. I don't pretend to understand their pain or where they're coming from or anything like that. But I'm just surprised. Like, I would like to say that in a bubble, because I don't have experience with this, and I hope I never do, but in the same position, I would hope that my family, and I say my family because I'm going a different route, I'm going to leave that alone. I would hope my family doesn't accept any settlement until the judicial process is exhausted to either end, even to our benefit or to we're just never going to see charges. Not only from the money aspect of what that would drive, because you get a guilty verdict, I'm not taking a settlement, or if I am, I'm not taking your first offer. Raise that shit up, or I can sue you. Which one's it going to be? You know what I mean? But number two, it's kind of like the same stance that a lot of people have with Kaepernick. And obviously it has nothing to do with police brutality, but there were a lot of people who were in the school of thought that since Cap took a settlement, he has no right to try and get back into the league. That he wasn't still wrong. That his settlement had nothing to do with him forfeiting his rights to get back in. He's still a quarterback who deserves to be on an NFL roster. If the NFL claims itself to be a meritocracy where the best man plays, there is no way you're telling me this man, all right, if he's not in the top 32 of quarterbacks, which I don't understand how you could say that looking around the league right now, especially 2 years ago, but the top 64, and he can't make a roster? Bullshit. But people are saying, well, you can't sue your employer and expect them to hire you again. When they're the only show in town, it'd be one thing if there was another league on the stature of the NFL. It'd be one thing, you know what I mean? Like, so people were having that thing. Oh, you accept a settlement, you don't deserve to get back in. They paid you off. No, he accepted a settlement based on wrongs that the NFL admitted. It wasn't even to the collusion. It was something else. You know what I mean? That he was sabotaged about, And then if they didn't feel that way, they wouldn't have set up this sham workout. I don't really want to go down the cap rabbit hole. I'll let you comment on it, but I don't.
I'd be happy to go down cap rabbit hole.
But why I bring that up is because they think that that's the perception. Okay, you took the money, now shut up and go away. And there's no amount of money you can put on any of my bloods. Well, maybe my uncles, but no amount of money that you could put on any of my blood's life. So, but the perception is, okay, you took your settlement, just shut up, be happy you got it. And it's the same thing that, oh, why is this ball player talking about, he makes X amount of millions of dollars a year. Never mind the fact that he is amongst the best in the world at what he does, and that's why.
You remember LeBron?
Yeah, well, yeah, like people tell him shut up and dribble. That Kobe idiot who wanted he's a great fighter. I don't knock Kobe's skill set, but I really wanted him to get his face broken again. But
I wouldn't have been upset.
Woodley doesn't throw punches, but that's the point. Is there are people again? Black excellence is always juxtaposed against white or other mediocrity. Where the fuck do you get off as an accountant, an insurance adjuster, CFA? Whatever your fucking job is. Are you in the top 100 in the world to do your job? Top 50? You know what I mean? And you're telling this athlete who, yes, he is birth gifted, but there are plenty of motherfuckers who have all the measurable, the height, the speed, the strength, and don't make it.
This is only an assessment on that specific. This is nothing beyond that statement. There is never. I don't know that I've ever seen another LeBron.
Nope.
Like
LeBron
just physical stature. Like he is one of a kind.
That man again.
Like Jordan was different. There's been a lot of
Zion,
Jordan builds.
everybody's saying Zion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Zion's not the athlete LeBron is. Like Zion is a large human that can move.
If Zion conditioned himself though, if he
Dude,
sheds like 30
I don't know
pounds,
what LeBron's 40 is, but he's hauling ass.
Oh yeah, he's definitely
And
running
he's
at least a
6'8",
4'6".
6'9".
If you look at Jadeveon Clowney is 60 pounds heavier than me when I was in fat.
So with LeBron, I was, and it sounds really douchey, but because I'm like name dropping. So when I was in Vegas working, I got to meet LeBron. It was almost less impressive. That's hurtful, because like you see him, and he's just such a specimen. Like he's just like
No homo, specimen, pause.
Yeah, no homo 2 times.
Are you trying to get a
double
specimen?
double hashtag? Because he's just so. He's like literally like so what you if you're gonna build a character in like a video game.
The
that's
Master
what you
Chief
build.
from
Like,
Halo.
okay, so you're built like this.
Put them sliders.
You
on
got like a
the
99 speed, 99 jump. Of course you're gonna be good.
as a teenager.
Yeah. So that again, that was a total rant that had nothing to do with what we were saying. But he's like a weird exception, whereas Jordan's like his attributes have been carried over multiple times in terms of his physical attributes. His mental attributes are what changed the game.
His
And same with
basketball
Kobe.
IQ,
Like Kobe's drive
work ethic.
is not replicated.
work ethic,
Yeah.
the shots that he made before the game, insane. But I say that all to say I was surprised that the civil aspect was settled prior to any judicial or prosecutorial process moving forward. Just for one, I felt like it limits the scope of how much money the family could have got. Two, the public perception, and three, that could taint any possible juror pool if we finally do see a trial for the cops that killed her. So I was surprised in that, but I don't pretend to appoint myself to tell the family on how to move and how to act. That's still not enough. It will never be enough, but at the very least, we need to see a trial. That's it. We need to see a trial. We need to see guilty. We need to see real sentences. So, my prayers are constantly with them. I'm fucking tired of praying about this shit. Honestly and fucking truly. Like, okay, legislation changes in maybe Louisville. Maybe. But even laws on the books get fucking violated. Like, they don't, until qualified immunity is gone, until, and that's what pisses me off about police. People, people always like to liken police and military to the same thing. And I was in the military. I'm not saying there aren't fuck-ups in the military. I've served with plenty of them. But the military has a uniform code of military justice. And like it or I hate having my experience with it. They have a 98% conviction record once somebody in the service is charged. And then, that's assuming you go to UCMJ. You can still go into what's called non-judicial punishment, where your commander can basically hamper your career, sanction you for pay, confine you, but you don't have a criminal record. The UCMJ is the military component of the prosecutorial process. But because of that, you are subject to all civilian laws to a military standard. So that everybody's holding the phrase conduct on becoming an officer or whatever. There's no statute definition of what you have to do.
Yeah.
It's if those people on the jury felt like you weren't operating at a military standard, guess what? You're guilty, and that's a crime. Not like an excess. That's a crime in itself. You can do time for that, and be a felon when you get out of the military for conduct on becoming an officer. So, I'm not saying the military is perfect. We still have our douches. We still have our war criminals, but
at least you have
there is no question as to whether or not there is at least a body, an avenue for it to happen. For police, all we get is we did our own investigation and cleared ourselves. Yeah. So from that standpoint, I know what it's like to wear a uniform and be judged by your lowest common denominator. I don't pretend that most or all police are bad. I hate that I have to fucking qualify that every time I have this fucking conversation that assuages your feelings while my people are lying bleeding in the fucking street.
How do you feel, and I want your honest opinion on the media's take on that, because at the end of the day, I have a ton of police officer friends. I know one of your best friends is a police officer who I adore.
Fuck Twitter.
Shout
out Jeremy.
Love that dude.
He was just here, literally.
I have amazing friends in state college that are police officers in a pretty, what I interpret as an unbiased police force. So you have these wonderful people that are doing it for the right reasons, and then the media twists it as everyone.
No.
Like, objectively speaking, from my point of view, which is, again, different because I will acknowledge that I'm a white man and I have a different perspective, the solution is holding those fuck-ups accountable. The people that do the Breonna Taylor shit. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care if you're a police officer. That's murder. Like, that, she was sleeping in her bed.
And even
You
if
killed her.
murder,
I don't even care if you're
so
scared.
Incompetent that
you took
you could have
someone's
shot one of us if I'm in the.
You took someone's fucking life.
Right.
Like, their whole life. Like, that matters. So I think it's holding the people accountable that fuck up.
But the question
I think
is,
that's
who
a
is supposed
solution.
to hold them?
Well,
I don't
they're
know.
not holding
Before it even
each
gets to
other
us,
accountable.
the cops should be disavowed. But the problem is that thin blue line is they mask it as, okay, this is the guy who's going to stand next to me in the gap when we have to break open his dealer's house.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is, I think there's a difference between what we're saying, we're on the same page,
right.
versus what the media is painting.
Exactly.
And the problem is the media is making you choose sides, and that's when you
But
like...
there's two problems of it. Like,
you have the media, and then you have the dumb motherfuckers. Again, goes back to the some of the rednecks. It's like they're so short-sighted, they see it as a linear equation, which it's not.
But you know the quick fix of that? If the police will get up and disavow this shit. But they won't. Because, you know what? When I was in the military, this was after, before I actually got on active duty, but Abu Ghraib was a thing. You know what I mean? We had that just with that Navy SEAL. When that Navy SEAL got pardoned for his war crimes, and he tried to go back to operational SEAL teams, the SEAL team said, fuck you. Because they know what he did. To the point where a general resigned rather than put him in there. You don't see that with fucking cops. You don't. So until you do that, fuck you. I don't care about your feelings. Because I signed my name to a piece of paper to defend this country in a time of war, knowing full well that I could get sent over to some sandbox to shoot some brown people who didn't do shit to me on account of 11, 12, I don't know how many 9/11. Well, on account of the dozen
at the most
of those dickheads who killed 2,000 people. All right? So...
I guess my question is more, what's the solution? Because I think the media twists it, don't you think?
No, but the media would be a non-factor if the police came out and disavowed. If they were handling business like the military does, but the police want the same gratitude, reverence, and respect that the military gets. And the military ain't perfect, but at least the military has to work to cover their shit up. The police act like so, and you even get military members. I'm in a war zone where it is not uncommon for pregnant women or a woman to appear to be pregnant to really have a bomb on, be seeking medical attention, and blow me to shit. And I know this could happen every fucking day. But if I shoot that broad before she blows me up, even if she has the fucking bomb, my ass is in a fucking sling. So explain to me why at home a police officer who's trained is not held to a similar, if not higher standard in peacetime. That's the problem. Even and that's why I hate fucking bootleggers. Like, what's the dude's name? Tim Kennedy, who's fancy. He's a Navy SEAL operator, retired. He's like a MMA guy, personal defense contractor, and trainer and everything. Oh, we back the blue and everything. I'm like, Tim, I would expect this from somebody who enlisted into the military out of high school, who didn't know any better, who is a child, and their politics were formed by their leadership, because the military is overwhelmingly Republican from the leadership up. And as a subordinate troop, they break you. They tell you what to think and how to think it. So I would expect this. You're an operator. In the military, operator means two things. Operator means someone who is actually doing the mission. You got the support troops, which we all need, like quartermasters and stuff, who supply, and you got the ones who are the literal war fighter in whatever capacity, whether it's a missile operator, whether it's an infantryman, whether it's somebody operating the radar. You're an operator. But then it really means something in the special forces community. You are the cream of the crop. Everybody else is paid to do what they're trained to do. You're paid to think. You see Lone Survivor. That was an elite squad where they could have killed that kid up on that mountain and they'd probably be alive today. If they had just shot that kid up there, done their mission, and got the fuck out. And they wanted to. They showed that. I think Marcus Luttrell, this Lone Survivor, made a damn good point of illustrating that conversation because they are human. Why can't that conversation happen in a peaceful environment with cops? You get what I'm saying? And this is a known terrorist that they're acting like this. But a black person? So until that happens, and when I see military members, oh, we're back to blue, because the military, a lot of times they get out and they become cops. But in my mind, we do not lie, steal, or cheat, or tolerate those among us who do. So I would expect you to be the main ones policing the fucktards that wear your same uniform, but you don't do it. What the fuck happened? You would not take this from somebody who was liable to get you blown up in a squad because of the way they're acting. Liable to get you in front of a fucking Hague tribunal for war crimes because they didn't know how to fucking act. But you come home and condone it? No. Until that happens, until the police clean their dirty laundry and do it publicly.
What about from a training perspective, though? Like, the one thing that really rung home with me...
I think training is a cop-out. Training is necessary, but I think it's a cop-out. Go on.
Well, here's what I don't think it is, because the George Floyd thing really rung home with me, and it hurt me. Because if you watch it, the one thing, like, if you watch it and you can watch that as a human not be shook to the core, right, you're a piece of shit.
But George Floyd wasn't the first George Floyd.
I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying let's take it for what it was at that level, on that training level. If cops are trained, and this is a question, it's not me saying this is how it should be. I'm not a black belt. I'm not this master martial artist, but I'm a huge jiu-jitsu fan.
And if it was 6 of you...
And if you've done any level of basic jiu-jitsu or wrestling training, you know that if someone's cuffed, to keep their back is easy. We talked about LeBron earlier. We'll talk about Saquon. Freak athletes. If you cuff them, I will keep their back all day 100% of the time. They are stronger than me. They're bigger than me. They're faster than me. They're better athletes than me. It is easy. So you have a situation like that. If they are trained, do you not think it's easier to point out the fact that it's pure racism then?
No,
I guess
absolutely.
that's my question.
No, I'm with that. But why do we have to point this out? Because
I'm not saying we should. I'm just trying to find solutions.
Because here's my thing. Let's say I'm a damn good shot. But you fall back to what you're comfortable in your training. They're trained to shoot. And you notice, I get paranoid and I'm outright disgusted by fat fucks of a cop. Because I know you're the first one to pull the fuck. Because you can't fight. Like, off rip, you can't fight. Then I'm black and you automatically think I'm willing to fight. Despite the fact you have a gun.
In your respect, you are willing to fight.
I am, but you don't...
Okay, I'm just saying that. I want to point that out.
But the point is, I haven't done shit to you, but by virtue of me existing with a tan... You just assume that if anybody's gonna swing at you, it's me. You're right, but I'm not gonna swing at. I have no interest in getting shot. You know what I mean? So I'm not just gonna swing at you. But you can't assume that I'm not saying this is not a dangerous job. You got to do worst case scenario. Why don't you assume? Just this week, there was a white boy who wounded 3 cops, killed one of them, and he doesn't have such as a scratch on him in his mugshot. Not a scratch. No street justice. No nothing. He killed a cop and shot 2 other ones. So you go to your training, and this is why I say training is a cop-out, because you can have all the tools in the toolbox, okay? But if you see a nail, and you always want to go to the hammer, you're going to go to the fucking hammer. You know how to use the pliers, you know how to use a screwdriver, you know how to do all this other shit. You're trained. What do you want to use?
But that's not real training,
your
bro.
Your implicit bias is what drives you.
And I am agreeing with everything you
if
said,
you want to
but that's not training. Like, at the end of the day, I know 4 or 5 dozen cops in our area. Well, that's a huge exaggeration, probably 3 dozen. That was a gross exaggeration. I said 5 and I meant dozen. So 3 dozen. So 36 cops in our area. I know most of them because of the industry I'm in. Right. I know a lot of them that go to the gym I go to. I torch them because they weren't trained. They're going to this gym because this gym is willing to train them for free because they believe it's the right thing to do. So their training is not accurate.
here's
Is what
the
I'm saying.
thing, and
It's not real training.
No, and that's where
it's pussy training.
That's where the defund the police comes from, because everybody thinks, oh, just cut them off completely. Like, it's like too much of police budgets are non-oversight. Why are you buying MRAPs and all this other shit that's meant for war zone when you could be training on sensitivity training, you could be training on grappling, you could be training on all these other tools that will keep you from feeling like you need to shoot a motherfucker in the back on his handcuff. You know what I mean? Like,
you need to give someone the confidence to be able to handle themselves.
Right.
And some of that's mentality.
and some of that comes from screening. What questions are you asking other than, when was the last time you smoked weed? Because I've tried to become a cop multiple times. Do you think I'll be able to get it being a service member? I've actually pulled my weapon on 2 people, and both of them are fucking alive. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't get hired as a fucking cop. I blast the test, all the measurables, but I just don't get fucking hired. But you get these dudes with associate's degrees who didn't make varsity, or, you know, they have their whatever high school problems, they never leave their small town, and now they got a fucking authority over the guys who got picked over them, who got the girls and everything. That's literally who these people are.
But that's where I feel like if those guys had to pass a test, like there needs to be some level of like proficiency. Like you should prove that you can't get your fucking ass beat.
Exactly.
Like I'm not saying that's
in the
right. It's just
military.
at the end of the day,
Just like
you
in the
should
military,
have to
got
prove
commanders.
that.
If you're gonna be in the infantry, because at the end of the day, the dude's life next to you depends on you. But now it's just like qualified immunity. There's no qualified immunity in the military. None. And you're in a fucking war zone.
Yeah.
So until that goes by, until there's real, it forces them to police themselves, we're not going to see anything. But going forward, and that led into the whole sheriff with calling out LeBron, the audacity of this man to call out LeBron James because his 2 sheriffs got shot. And again, I'm not condoning this. The rumor is that there was a security guard in LA was shot by the police, and the 2 cops that were killed, or not killed, but were shot this past incident, were on video laughing over the guy's body. So the running theory is that whoever shot them was either close with the victim and shot them, didn't kill them. I think they're still alive. And again, I'm not happy that they got shot or anything, but there's cause and effect here. But how dare you go call out LeBron James just because of his name, your clout chasing off his name, and then trying to put him in a position where, oh, if he doesn't donate, he doesn't
Well,
like
it's because that's where white people, and that's where I can speak, is white people have this expectation that they can't disassociate. They're like, oh, well, they can't disassociate the fact that Black Lives Matter is different because they're calling out a system that is meant to protect the country versus a random ass criminal.
Right.
It's different. And that's where the problem is with people. They're like, no, it's a different function. Is one job is quite fucking literally to protect people. The other person is like, that's a felon. We can't control bad people.
Right.
Like bad people are out there.
Plot twist, you're not supposed to kill the felons either.
It's like when you, but it's like when you say black on black crimes, it's fucking different. That's when BLM isn't saying like cure all the criminals. It's different. It's saying the people that are meant to protect us should fucking protect us.
Right.
And until you differentiate that, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, and then I just love how Vanessa Bryant got in his ass. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Didn't you just put my husband's dead body all over the fucking internet? Then yeah.
That's fucked up too. Don't even get me started
Shut
on
the
that.
fuck up. I saw the autopsy report and I saw a JPEG and it was loading and I had to.
I wasn't even a Kobe Bryant fan in terms of basketball. Like
I saw the drawing, you know, like how they do like just an outline and they put little marks, and I was just like, oh my god. And then the picture was loading because I was staring at that, and then I looked in the bottom right and I was like, no! And I closed that shit.
Could you imagine that it's your family member? Like, don't share that shit.
And for what? I didn't understand LA is LA and everybody's looking to sell a picture to the paparazzi.
Like, who wants to see that? Like, what people want to see that on the internet? Like,
but like just the thought in your brain, like I get celebrities and all this other stuff, but like you're a cop or just like even a person, and your first inclination is to take pictures that like of like someone's like deceased body in their family, like in a like this horrific crash. Like your first thought is, oh, let me get some pictures.
we're like, imagine if that's how they found out. Like, I don't know the timeline that she found out, but imagine if you were like waiting and you just found out that Kobe Bryant crashed in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Like, that is offensive and rude and insensitive to think.
I think some of the other family members found out because the news broke that Kobe's
that was a whole
helicopter
shit show. They
crash.
thought Rick Fox was dead.
But they knew that their family members were on the.
Did you see that Rick Fox interview?
Yeah, it was like my family was calling me like,
shook me,
I was
man.
like, my first thought was, oh, his daughters.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, man, that's insane. So fuck. Like, I tell everybody right now, if I ever got hired as a cop, and yes, I want to be a cop just because the same reason why I joined the military is like I don't trust none of us not to be around when the shit hits the fan. I have no desire to shoot anyone. But I can promise you, no black man's gonna get shot in front of me that don't need shooting. You know what I mean? Like, and beyond that, I'm from the community. It pains me that I do this job that I do, not because I don't get paid anything that I should be getting paid, but I never wanted a job that I got to pay the bills. I have a nature service. I've been doing this since Civil Air Patrol, Boy Scouts, and everything like that. I'm the cop that we need, but I can't. That sounds really egotistical, but that's literally what you need. Somebody who has a vested interest.
If I didn't know you, I'd be like, dude, you need to take it down.
And the people they serve. You know
Humble yourself.
But I tell if I got my wish and I was an officer, whether federal or whatever, I would wear a shirt under my body armor that said "fuck the police" just to keep me fucking grounded. Like because that's who you're serving them. Even though they don't like you, you're still serving them, and that gets lost. That there's so many police out there that think, they don't like me, I'm not going to guard their games. That's not how this fucking works.
Right.
The military don't want to go to fucking Iraq or wherever, but they go.
Over your bullshit.
Do you think that is there like a percentage of good cops that understand that it takes to shift that narrative?
Absolutely. But
I'm just wondering what it is.
Every day I want to give them bail, there's another cop. I'm getting out of policing because we're not revered enough. And I'm like, did you hurt? You should be. If that's how you feel, that tells me that you're a shit cop and you just haven't
you're not a cop for the right reasons.
You're a shit cop and you just haven't had the opportunity to become a name in a headline.
All right, so what's devil's advocate? What is that compensate? At the end of the day, we all work for a reason. It's for you chase
you pay
a lifestyle.
my bills, but I work for service.
Yes, but I do agree. But at what point, like, if you pay enough in any industry, in any workforce, you will get the right candidates.
Absolutely.
Because people are fighting.
But I don't hear that as a con. I don't hear any police force
But
saying
what I'm
that they're not
asking
paying
is,
enough.
what is that amount that you have to pay a cop to make it where it's worth it? Because at the end of the day, all cops, they're putting their life in jeopardy every day.
But
I'm not saying they're all good, but that's a real factor.
But
Like,
in my
my world, like, my life's not in
In
danger.
my mind, they're paid just fine right now. They get that their retirement is insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not
pension
complaining.
in and of
They're not
itself.
saying that I'm overworked and underpaid. They're saying that if you hear about a cop being overworked, it's because of the hours and they're not hiring enough people. But individual compensation, for the most part, is fine. That's not the issue. I shouldn't have to pay you more to put up with people complaining about you sucking at your fucking job. Do your job better, and we won't be here. Police each other. You need to police each other.
How mad were you that the Asian dude fucking made my blood boil in that video? In the George Floyd
video.
Oh, dude, and he's the brother-in-law. Like that.
Fuck that guy.
And they knew each other. That's just.
Wait, he knew George Floyd?
So the brother-in-law. So the dude who put it, Chauvin. Him and George Floyd used to work
together
Right.
at a bar, right?
Right.
Like a security. Or something?
Chauvin, the Asian dude, is Chauvin's brother-in-law because Chauvin was married to his sister, who was a beauty queen in Minneapolis, who for whatever reason divorced her. But I think it's more so to protect the pension because she'll still get it if he gets found guilty and everything like that. But they knew each other. Who really pissed me off out of all that? The black cop. Because he even joined the police force because he recognized that Minneapolis, St. Paul has a racist problem. He wanted to change the system. Now, I shoot him some bail. You're a rookie. You're watching your supervisor do this shit. But at the same time, it's like, stand the fuck up.
Like,
nigga.
But that's where I say training, because like honestly, until I started taking jiu-jitsu, I would not have known. I wouldn't have known the lethal aspect of that position.
Yeah.
You don't understand that that's a blood choke. That it's not.
Right.
It's
You're putting off
uncomfortable.
oxygen to the
It's
brain.
uncomfortable. It's not
But
like
even
just
if you
a pain
don't understand
thing.
that it's a blood choke, like you still understand that like someone's knee is on like the back of someone's neck. Like,
And even
I'm not saying it's not right. I'm
They
just
said he
saying like
could
you
have
don't
died even
understand the
without the knee to
lethal.
the neck. If you had enough people on his back with
Yeah.
the weight constricting the blood flow, that's eventually going to kill him too. But he's vocalizing,
But like regardless if you're a rookie in training or whatever the case is, like you know what's wrong and you know what's right, and it's up to
Why are you scared?
It's open your mouth.
You're scared to talk to your shift sergeant or whoever the patrol. Because Chauvin was the ranking officer. You're scared to speak to him. I'm supposed to trust you to speak out on some actual malfeasance. I'm supposed to trust you. Get the fuck out of here.
Right. I'd rather.
And in the military, they taught us that from jump. Airman, private, whatever. If you see some shit, you're guilty unless you bring the shit forward.
Exactly.
That culture's not in the police. The culture is don't break the blue. Even we'll police our own, but policing our own is a strong talking to administrative leave. Oh, go back out there. Fuck you. People are fucking dead. And that's just the end of
Do you
it.
know what really chaps my ass more than anything? And I know this is gonna be you guys are roll your eyes.
My ass.
It gets
That's
shot.
matter.
It gets shot.
Have you ever had a chapped ass? I bet you
have.
wouldn't want it.
No, I have not.
I got a chapstick
When I
for
first started
that.
making leg games, my expression.
You need to baby powder for that.
Yeah.
Is when someone says they bring up the rap sheet. Like that is the most white maneuver ever.
We
It's
get
like,
tried for our history. But
who gives a
But
fuck?
when white people
Like,
shoot up schools or whatever, we hear about how many kittens they rescued at the SPCA shelter and how they volunteered.
I wish they took the term thug and mentally handicapped or whatever it is and just replace it with asshole. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't give a fuck what your mental problems are. I don't give a fuck what
Shoot
your...
yourself, motherfucker.
You are an asshole. Like,
shoot
point
your
blank.
motherfucking self. That motherfucker prayed with those 9 people in that
When they
church.
started bringing up... Like, I lost friends over the George Floyd thing. I unfriended people because I'm like, you're really going to bring up his rap sheet?
Because they would do that to
You
your dog.
had complete
it's
control
easy,
over him.
because it's the easiest.
Police
thing
are
to do.
supposed to interact with criminals.
But I also have to bring up, I'm a white Republican and I can fucking differentiate this. Like, this is a human issue.
But
It's not...
That's an easy way to justify your point of view and your prejudice and.
It's just
But
like
I'm
the
on
shooter,
your-
the Kenosha guy.
I'm just
oh,
saying,
he
I'm-
killed a pedophile. Oh, he killed... First of all, he didn't fucking know that.
He had
Second of
no
all-
right to be
Second
there.
of all, even if he did, that's not the sentence for being a pedophile. He's a registered.
Right.
He's doing his fuck. You know how you know he's a pedophile because he's a registered sex offender.
But also, due to a registered sex offender, it could not be with children. There was an era in the mid '90s, the late 2000s, like I don't know how to say it, late 2008, 9s, like
the 2010s,
the 2010s, I don't know how you
yeah,
say
the
that.
2000s and then
2000s,
yeah.
where you could have a sexual crime and you could plea out to be a sex offender
Like
just so you don't have to go to
if you
jail.
pee near a
If you
school or
pee,
something
Yeah,
like that.
and they won't, but they don't classify it different on
Right.
your record.
Nope.
Yeah, you're just a sex
Oh,
offender.
I looked
Yeah.
that shit up just to see who was around.
It's wild.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it's just unfathomable that people cannot differentiate the fact that
Because
this
they
person's
can't.
history doesn't matter.
Because they can.
They can.
It's
They
just a
choose,
clown.
yeah.
That's why I tell you, stop arguing with white people. They know. Make your point, but think of it as like a slap. You're verbally slapping them. You're moving forward. You're putting them on notice that if and when the shit hits the fan, and we're finally active adversaries. Don't say I didn't fucking warn you. That's how I look at it when I'm arguing.
I guess my problem with that statement isn't what you're saying, because it's right. There's a difference between white people and educated white people.
Absolutely.
And that's where I have a problem. Like I said, I'm a Republican white guy, and I still know that's wrong.
But the reason why I can't do it is because we assume, and too many black people, that's why they vote Democrat. Oh, they're the liberals. They're pro.
I'm not
The
even
liberals are
discrediting.
racist as fuck.
I'm
And
not
they're
even-
educated. They speak nice, and then they go past crime bills to call us super predators. They, you know what I mean? Like.
I'm not
so-
even disagreeing. I'm not even disagreeing with your logic. Disagreeing. I'm making words nuts. I drank a little bit.
We've been drinking.
We have been. We
We've
finished
been
a couple
drinking.
bottles off. I guess the problem is, like, we went back to the fact I'm a Republican. She's a Democrat. Like, we're independent people. You're either a good person or a piece of shit. Like, there's no in between. Like, if you're not willing to learn and grow, you're not willing to learn and grow. So I guess
And own it. Just own that.
But
If you
own
own
it.
that, I can.
I guess I hate getting lumped into, like, oh, it's a white conservative. No, I'm a white conservative, and I love my family, and I appreciate black culture, and I appreciate all of our shortcomings
Right.
as white people. I think there's a difference, and I'm not saying that should be the narrative. I'm just saying I think that
I
there's
feel
a
that,
difference.
but
You know what I mean?
what I challenge you with that is that, like,
It's not the norm.
People
I'll,
see me.
I'll give you that.
I was on active duty with a fade, with no facial hair.
Was
You
your
know what I
fade
mean?
nice, though?
It was crispy. I found the one nice barber in shout out to Drew, mine out North Dakota. But you know how many times people came up to me looking for weed? Fam? Never mind the fact that I don't smoke, but I'm clearly in the military. And after my incident, which I'm gonna do a video while I'm not in the military, so I'll do that on the channel, Independent Podcast, because that should be a miniseries in
Brace
itself.
yourselves for that.
But
That's a story.
after I had an incident where I actually had to defend my life, I didn't pull my gun, but the person with me while I was fighting the dude had my weapon. But the point is, I'm on edge because this is a small town dude who knows everybody, and I'm already on, I won't say probation, but thin ice with the military and everything. And I'm going to a softball tournament. I get followed at a gas station by 3 white guys, one in a pickup truck who parked behind my Camaro, who blocked me in basically, and the other 2 followed me inside. And my spider sense was already up, so I peeped them because instead of just getting gas, they were making random laps. And I was like, what's going on here? Then I saw 2 of them come in, and I went out of my way in the gas. I only needed to get sunflower seeds for the softball game, but I went around just to see to the opposite corners of the gas station, see if they would follow me or if they were going around, and they did. And then I come out, and I'm in a softball uniform, but I have my pistol on me waist high, and I come out, and I'm in a 2-door Camaro. I had to make the decision: do I just get in the car and leave? But then the truck is behind me; I can't back out. At which point, I recognize that one of the guys is behind me, and the other one is looping around. That's a pincer movement. So this white dude comes up to me. I whip around and I have my 40 right in his face. What the fuck is wrong with you? And he's like, hey man, I just want to know where the weed's at. I'm like, I almost fucking killed you and you're looking for. Do I look like I? You know what I mean? I asked him like, do I look like I know where the fucking weed is? I'm clearly in the middle. I was like, I do look like that because I'm black, right? Get the fuck out of my face. That'd have been the dumbest reason to have a fucking body, but. I was on DEFCON 1 over that because I had just gotten it. I don't know who this dude is. You know what I mean? Like, he was known in that town. Him and his twin brother is the Dennis the Menaces, and they knew everyone. So these could have been his voice. We stand out. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so many black people. Only so many, like, in my car, you remember my Camaro, it was loud and obnoxious very easily. So.
Such a shitty automobile.
It was terrible. The point is, me already keyed up. I still didn't put a hole in someone. And I'm not a cop. Never been one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't give me that appearance shit because people assume what you are. And that's how we've grown up. People assume that we're ghetto, that we're going to fight, that we're going to cuss them out, that we're going to do this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? I know, and I know how to operate in that space. Why do I have to ask you to do so? You know what I mean? And I'm not minimizing that it's not a thing. Because I talk shit about my white friends all day, every day. Not my white friends, but white people.
But it's also fun. Like, I think there's a difference, too. Like, you have genuine racism. Then you have, like, the anecdotal comedy side. Like, if you make fun of me as your white relative, like, it's funny because I know you're a good person.
Right. If all we had to worry about was jokes, we would not give a fuck. Yeah. But these jokes become real when you're denying my loans. These jokes become real when I can't get the health care I need. These jokes become real when you're shooting me for complying.
So I have a problem with... I have a lot of Republican family. Hit it again. Forgetting. One more time.
Mixtape coming soon.
What's the name of this track?
I don't know. That's the name of the track. I don't know. Yeah, so we've been on the heavy shit.
Half a heap and a Salvadorian. Dropping here. 2021.
We've been on this heavy shit for a while. Let's get to some lighter shit. This is kind of heavy too, but it's funny. So Andrew Gillum, up and coming political star, and shout out to everybody who's still here at 2 hours. This is the longest podcast, but I feel like this is the heaviest.
I started drinking.
I got a child. I'm tired.
Yeah, like I gotta work tomorrow, but I do what I want. But shout out for y'all that are still here. Andrew Gillum, for those of you who don't know who he was a gubernatorial, even though it's the governor, but it's called a gubernatorial race in Florida. Drop some science on y'all. I'm gonna abuse these gunshots now that I remember that they're there.
Shout out to George Jovel.
But he lost the race in Florida. I'm sure he was cheated. That's a whole other conversation. But at some point earlier this year, was it this year or last year, where he was found to be passed out in a hotel room with a known male prostitute who prostitutes for other men. That is to say, slings pussy. Let that sink in.
A known male prostitute.
And there was a ton of meth in the room, which on the one page, black people, we don't, meth is not really our bag, but after talking to several of my LGBTQ friends, too many letters, evidently meth is a drug closely associated with butt sex. I guess it gets the party going. Oh.
Is that?
Yeah.
I have a gay bar. I'm proud of that. I'm not,
sure?
Yeah.
What?
We're renovating it. I'm very proud
of that.
You just
bought it?
No.
No, so actually...
Which bar? You took me there?
Chumley's. No.
Chumley's is a gay bar?
Yes.
It's one of the oldest... It's the only gay bar in town.
I thought that was just because y'all were progressive. I didn't know it was the gay bar.
That's cool. We're proud of it. We own that shit. We're putting money into it right now, making it nice.
I was in there fine, too. Why y'all ain't weren't... It was a good time, though.
It's a great bar.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Not one person hearing you. You ain't pretty enough.
Yeah, no, I'm losing it. No, everywhere else I go is bad.
Split ends, man. That's why.
Yep. But anyway, so he was found with a bunch of meth in the room. It is worth noting that he was passed out. They took all these pictures. I still believe this was a political hit job because let's say worst case scenario, this was his contracted male lover or whatever. He's not gonna mess up. What escort is gonna mess up his gravy train to like gravy? Not that kind of gravy. I mean like money, but who's gonna mess up? Who's gonna mess up his income by blowing him up like this?
You said income. How do you spell that?
Y'all are childish. That's my like, I'm supposed to be the most childish one in the room. But itchy now. But Who's gonna mess up that steady flow of monetary gain? Yes.
So many puns.
It's not a steady flow. Fuck. Anyway, so who's gonna do it? It's a political hit job, but whatever, right? If you don't put yourself in these positions, okay, cool. But it's worth noting that he was tested and he was intoxicated. He drunk too much. He passed out. He threw up. Shit happened with his pants down. Whatever. Okay. Evidently, recently he came out. He did a interview with Tamron Hall, I believe her name is, and he basically addressed the fact. Nobody asked him, mind you, but he said, just while we're on that, I don't identify as gay, but I am identifying as bisexual. And then, that's a problem because, like I talked about in the last podcast, until black people reconcile the fact that you shouldn't have to be what we consider excellent or an above average black person to be entitled to justice, to fair treatment, not only from the powers that we fight, but within the community. Because we treat our LGBTQ brothers and sisters as second-class citizens. We treat our less educated black people as they are not entitled to black excellence. They're the disposable ones. We buy into that white supremacist narrative that unless he's a saint, if he's murdered by police, his life didn't matter. So until we reconcile that within our community and stop driving away our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, we're going to see them choosing the flag that fights for them, even though that flag may be tainted elsewhere. That's a whole other conversation. The point is, by him, I won't say admitting, but announcing that he identifies as a bisexual male, instead of the conversation being, all right, move forward, his wife is clearly cool with it, that's their marriage, get back in the fight, because that is a voice that I think we can all agree here that we need in politics, especially in fucking Florida. Jesus fucking Christ. But the conversation I'm seeing with too many black people is, oh, he's just claiming he's bi, but he's gay. I'm like, listen to me. What fucking difference does it fucking make?
Right.
All right, and that's the real thing. It does make a difference because you motherfuckers cannot bring yourself to vote for a gay black man or a bi black man. And don't tell me it's because we just watched Pete Buttigieg damn near come within a mosquito's nut hair of getting the nomination. So it's black people's problem with our LGBTQ brothers and sisters that this is still an issue. If he's not viable, it's because we abandoned him. And if we're going to abandon the brightest amongst us, who, by the way, from what I understand, he went to FAMU, and anybody who's been... By the way. B.Y. the way that he went to FAMU. And if you've been to an HBCU, you know that we all know each other. It's like the 13th grade. And from what I understand, it wasn't even a secret that he was into dudes on some level. And that's where he met his wife. So we can agree that she at least knew that he was bisexual. And if this is a front still to make it more palatable than being full-on gay, she's comfortable being with his beard. It is what it is. Because I don't care what you say. Cory Booker ain't never touched Rosario Dawson. Like that man likes boys. But that's the least of my worries with Cory Booker. I don't care.
Which Rosario Dawson? Are we talking like
just one Rosario Dawson?
Luke Cage?
Yes. How many Rosario Dawsons do you know?
No, I think he's talking about
Character-wise.
Oh! Yeah, it's definitely Luke Cage, Rosario. Not
That's A1.
What was that movie where she was like an assassin or some shit? No, that was the wrong. That's the other girl.
That's Zoe.
Zoe Bay. Yeah.
There was another. She played another role right about the time Luke Cage
Alexander.
came out. Yeah, I wasn't much a fan of that. Rosario. That's what I was getting at. Not that there's.
But the point is, who gives a fuck? Okay, he is one of the brightest amongst us. Let him. He's gonna need us. And if the only reason that you can't get behind him is because you think he's gay or still lying, if his wife is fine with it. Maybe she has a pool boy thing. Maybe she likes it. That's a thing. It's mostly a white thing, but it's a thing. Who gives a fuck who he's fucking? All right, we need his voice. That's point blank. Period.
I think you said we were getting off the heavy shit, bro. This is
I
all
know,
heavy.
but it was kind of funny that he brought it up and nobody asked him. But at the same time, it was the elephant in the room. You know what I mean? But yeah, meth is associated.
The meth is the part that I was like.
Meth
it was like. The LT don't do drugs.
I know. I had to hear about it. Meth is associated with butt sex. I imagine it relaxes muscles. I hope. I don't know. And then there's something else called poppers, where they're basically these little fumes, like the same thing that comes in like paint bottles, but they're sold in these little bottles, and then evidently if you snort them, it makes you.
What was that dumb looking clown ass white dude that was like?
They're called poppers. Google that shit from a non-work computer.
What was the clown ass white dude was like? I'm fucking Miley Cyrus. The horrible song. We talks about cocaine in her ass. I'm gonna put cocaine in her ass.
Google.
Oh,
that was a terrible. Remember we played at the bar? Oh, it was awful.
I forget, but
Ass.
Just put I'm a fuck Miley Cyrus.
But I don't. Cocaine in your ass, Stitches? Cocaine
Yeah, Stitches.
Okay.
It is the most trash ass song I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm not playing it because I don't want to get sued later on for playing this shit. But
Don't.
Yeah, this
Literally, Britt will tell you for every single frat formal
Yeah.
we had, that shit, like,
This
when
is how
it
you know
played,
he owns
it
a bar
went
in a
off.
college town. Because what
That's-
the fuck was this?
That's actually when her and I,
no,
like,
don't play.
between
That's
between
when her and I
that
first started
and fucking
dating.
Freaky Friday, I'm like, okay, we get it. Shit.
I think that was before we were dating,
and
wasn't it?
And Mo Bamba.
Yeah, Mobamba.
Yeah, they took it. The white kids, the suburban kids, because that was my shit. And
I was
then-
actually
And then
offended.
when I came up and it was dead and I was balling, I was like, oh, y'all listen to this? Y'all supposed to be looking at me.
Also, Bobby Schmurda, Hot Boy, was taken over by white people.
Yeah, it's appropriate.
100%.
That happens.
It was very
It happens.
appropriate.
The
I was
lyrics,
offended.
not the dance.
No, we tried
Bobby
it.
should be
we
home
tried
soon,
to do
though.
the dance.
Shout
We
out,
tried.
Bobby.
It didn't work.
Bobby should be home soon, standing tall, look forward to
Schmurda and
Just
Shulman
for-
ain't that far off. You know what I'm saying?
murder. Speaking of sucking shit,
What the fuck?
murder mosquitoes. Murder mosquitoes. In typical 2020 fashion, we've got mosquitoes in Louisiana that are so dense that they have killed livestock to include cows, sheep, and even wild deer.
But that's because of
All
the
deer are
hurricane.
wild.
Nah, there's people who raise deer.
Who?
It's the weirdest. They're in the South.
I'm a redneck, and who
Nah,
raises
Google
deer?
it. I'll bet you money. They raise deer.
I'm gonna deliver a hen
But
over tomorrow if anything.
I need you guys to understand how fucktarded this shit is. I don't know if any of you guys used to watch sci-fi like me back in the day, but when sci-fi was just like the Sci-Fi Network, they had a movie. I don't know what it was, but it was like these mosquitoes. They were like 3 feet tall and they could fly, and then they were radioactive,
All
of course.
mosquitoes can fly.
And then they could they will drain you inside. It was the craziest shit. These are not those. These are, you know how dense the mosquitoes gotta be that they're draining enough blood.
It's like, you remember the mummy with the little scarabs, them joints?
Oh, yeah,
just,
yeah,
like,
Those
come
were.
over.
I literally have nightmares about those.
Yeah,
Those
shit,
are awful.
dude, when
That's
when you see them,
yeah,
like-
yeah, that's
It's
what,
like the
that's what
scabies, like, ugh,
that's
I
what I
can't-
equate it to.
But mosquitoes are deep enough in Louisiana that they have swarmed a single animal and drained enough blood where it suffocates, because blood's chief function is to transfer oxygen from oxygenated tissues, i.e. the lungs, to the rest of the body. First of all,
Okay, Encyclopedia Britannica.
We got biology
I
on
mean,
that
knowing
right
shit.
now.
But
He's smart.
here's the things I need y'all to understand. It. Think about how many, the worst times you've ever been bit as a human. Okay, you might have gotten like 20, 30 bites on
I'm
these
saying the
limbs.
last time I
And
was
my
down
sister
here,
gets annihilated.
it was a mosquito in my car, and that joint fucked
I feel
me
like they
up.
would carry me away. Okay, but here's the thing. The average human body has what, like 16 points or some shit like that? Or
I'm
more?
18, but I don't want
Are
to.
you?
Want to brag.
Okay, let's just take that. Now, you're like what, like 200, like 6 foot 200, like what? All right. A deer is probably a big deer, like 150, a buck 50, and everything, and comparable to like a medium-sized human.
And for rednecks, that's a 10
And they killed them, right? Let's say that happened. You had enough mosquitoes to kill a deer, so that means you have enough mosquitoes to take my sister out because they're about the same weight.
It's a buck
blood.
20, dude.
So yeah, so if they could kill
She ain't a
100
buck 50.
if they could kill 150,
She's a buck 50 with
Barely
our baby,
a buck
bro.
when I was pregnant.
But what I'm
like,
saying is-
excuse me, don't do me like that.
She got the vein.
If you can kill a 150-pound deer, you can take my sister out. That's how many mosquitoes were present. A cow? Cows weigh in excess of 2,000 fucking pounds.
2,000 is
And
big.
they're
Like
high, too.
an ox is 2,000. A
And
cow's
the
probably
mass,
1,500.
the blood volume in there for that to happen. How many fucking mosquitoes? And to put that, if you all have watched the fucking Nat Geo,
But
with
like,
the
yo, if you
Serengeti-
get taken out by a swarm of mosquitoes, like that was your time.
That's
Listen,
manifest
like,
destiny.
but there was a
Right.
bunch of them. And here's my thing. And like you've watched Nat Geo, where like the fucking water buffalo and the Serengeti, and you can see the flies and you can hear them.
Yeah.
They're how thick, and they don't die.
That's a fly. They don't suck.
No, but they're
just
biting
annoying.
flies. The horseshoe flies. You ever seen a horseshoe fly?
I've been bit by a horseshoe fly.
There-
It sucks.
There's like they make a horse jump.
They hurt.
So like, but they're draining blood, and they can't do that to a bison or a buffalo or anything like that. Mosquitoes. Fuck 2020 for real, dog.
The murder hornets.
If I get killed by fucking
What's
mosquitoes,
that song like? Fuck 2020.
there's a song called Fuck
Yeah,
2020.
yeah. Look it up.
If not, let's
I
drop it
can't
right
play
now.
that because I don't want to get sued. I gotta get their
oh.
permission. I'll play it next
Oh,
time if I
yeah,
can get
yeah.
their permission.
I didn't know. I would when we were getting ready for chorus party, and I just had like the music joint on the TV, and it's a song. Fuck 2020.
Maybe I'll let my niece listen to it.
No, she was asleep. We were getting ready for the party.
Subliminals. Maya Moore, standout athlete with the WNBA who took a year off to fight the good fight to help a black man get out of jail. He had been in jail since he was 16, wrongfully convicted of, was it a rape and murder or just a murder?
I think it was rape, murder, wasn't
It was something crazy. But wrongfully convicted, Mr. What is his name? Jonathan Irons, and she got him out. Dope. I don't think anybody can argue with that. But here's my thing, and I'm playing devil's advocate because let me state for the record that I am supremely happy. Not only that he is free, but they have found each other. That I hope that they have the world at their feet and together to face it with. I wish them nothing but the best, and that cannot be overstated. But because you idiots forced me to go down this rabbit hole, I have to. Just a few short weeks ago, I had to listen to you motherfuckers prattle on about how Jada Pinkett was this predatory monster because she smashed a grown-ass man who was damaged and came to her. Like, he didn't make his fucking grown-ass man decision to fuck one of the finest women who I would smash today. You understand me? Like, whatever.
That's a bold statement.
Her inner mom.
Oh, her mama bad.
Her mom is actually better than her.
Her mama's shitting on a lot of y'all. Anyway. But I had to hear about how she's predatory. She took advantage of him. When this man has been in jail since he was 16, probably went to jail a virgin. I hope if he did, he was still a virgin when he got out. That's a whole. I'm not doing that with y'all.
Quick, get out of balloon knot territory, dude, bro. Get out.
But the point is,
no helium here.
The point is, he was 16. He spent over 20 years in the pen, and he gets out and he attaches to the woman who saved him. That's a trauma bond, much like what y'all alleged happened with August Alsina. And again, I'm sure she loves him. And from what I understand, he went after her, and she even told her, "Hey, you need to chill out, and make sure this is really what you want." I don't mean to besmirch her at all. It's you motherfuckers. How do you look at that and celebrate it? Yes, because why? Because he's old. He's 40. He went in jail when he was 16. He didn't get to have a whole phase. He didn't get to get with women and decide what's toxic, what he wants in a woman. All he knows as far as women is the woman who saved his fucking life, which is noble, but at the same time, it's a trauma bond. But you motherfuckers villainized Jada, who kept it 100 with him and gave him some of the most divine vagina. Because this nigga can't
It's
act.
because we worship the Fresh Prince.
You think that they're defending it just because of Will?
Yes.
I can get behind
Who
that.
doesn't love the Fresh Prince?
I love the Fresh Prince, but we gotta act.
Like the game said,
Keep
who
it
didn't
around.
want to be the Fresh Prince?
Will was doing his shit too. Accountability.
It doesn't matter.
And Will's not even mad that she smashed this nigga. Will's mad that their shit is in the streets.
Yeah.
That he's got to defend. You motherfucker. Like,
The Fresh
control
you-
your hoe.
You had one job.
Control your hoe.
Name one person in this entire universe that doesn't want to be the Fresh Prince. The game said it best.
I got my Balears right here somewhere.
There's not one. Can't tell me nothing.
My J's at. Yeah. So, you
I will say, I
motherfuckers.
have been quite entertained by all these Will memes.
You motherfuckers, dog.
I'm actually mad at those because
Y'all say keep the same energy, but y'all don't be keeping the same. I'm literally the only one that keeps the same energy, and I be getting killed for it.
I'm super
But
defending
luckily,
Will,
I'll
though.
slap you. Nigga.
We had a friend that called Will a one-hit wonder, and I almost killed him. I literally
was
almost
like,
fought
bro.
him. Do you know how upset it
No,
is?
he
I
said-
am the one.
He said Will was a one-hit wonder, and like Belle Biv DeVoe was like had like a bigger catalog than Will. We were like, excuse me, what?
I was like, are you talking about all new edition or Bilba DeVoe?
Is he a white?
No.
Take me to this Negro.
I am the white man had to tell him. I was mad as shit. I was 18 scotches deep,
Was he a 90s?
furious. It was
No,
Ivana's ex.
he's older than.
I had to put it. I didn't mean to put it on blast. It came out. I had too much to drink.
Ivana, control your hoes.
I was so.
Oh,
I am-
somebody asked about Ivana tonight.
I was visibly angry.
Oh, shout out to Nina.
Yo, that's a catch.
Somebody asked about Ivana today at the party.
I will fight anyone. She better be treated like a
At
queen.
the
Ash.
party.
There's only so many people that get married.
I'm confused. I'm tired. I can't think.
No, I'm gonna tell you later. Just put a pin in this. Yeah. So, fucking mosquitoes.
Later,
Oh, we already did that. All right.
Ambitious tired. Y'all
All right.
didn't have
You wanted to talk about Trump? There's a report.
Yes.
Trump
You can go to
hired.
bed. I want this.
Trump
so bad.
hired a stand-in, an Obama lookalike, so that he could berate this man and then ultimately fire him. I need you guys to understand the level of look. Normally, this wouldn't even bother me because this is some Trump shit. But as a man, when you're threatened by another man, it can be on various levels, whether or not it's athletic ability or if he gets the woman you want, whatever it may be. But every guy who has a normal to small size, say, penis, if you will, he knows what he has.
If you will.
He knows what he has, but he appreciates the ego stroke for the woman. You know what I mean? Because in his mind, it's bigger than what it is. It's just like dudes who lie and say they're like 6'2", but they're like 5'11", or you know what I mean? Because
5'8", whatever.
You know, whatever it may be. He'll lie to you and say he's got a 7-inch wiener. And
12 inches
he
looks
has a
like
5.
this.
But you're not gonna pull out the measuring, you know, whatever. And if you had a good time, whatever.
Bitch, I'm
Okay? Do you know how... I'm not even... We already know... We know anecdotally that he's got a tiny wee-wee just on the strength of Stormy Daniels,
No,
right?
can we stop at Stormy for a second, please? I have to express my raw anger at
Please
this.
do.
So one of the breaking points I had with Trump.
One of
No, this was
This
literally
was
it.
the straw that broke the fucking camel's back.
As a man, you'll understand this. When you look at the fact, I can tell you a million reasons why I got to where I got, and I can disagree with it, and I can regret it now. But the straw that broke the camel's back, this motherfucker got offended that a fucking porn star that takes dick for a goddamn living told him he had a small dick.
That wouldn't mean shit to me.
You are a billionaire, and you got mad that a porn star that takes dick for a
That
living
you
said you had a
paid.
small dick.
That was the least thing... Of all the things
That's
she said... Of all the things she said, that is the least of my words.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you are the president, a billionaire, and that's what sets you off, and you have to tell the American people you don't have a small dick, that's when I'm like, you are not the right man for the job.
Yeah,
That's ego at its highest level, bro.
that's insane.
I'll give you my whole dick for $1 billion. Sorry, babe. My whole dick.
Lease it. You gotta lease it. But here's my thing. His actual penis is not even the issue.
No, it is. It
Stormy
is.
Daniels. Stormy Daniels said it was tiny, right? But every man has his own mental picture of what his dick is. Do you know how tiny the mental picture of this man's dick has to be? That he went and hired an effigy of Obama just so that he could assert his dominance and fire him? Like this is a fucking episode.
So,
My God, what the fuck, dude?
did you hear about that Israeli?
Micro dick energy. Jesus Christ.
Did you hear about the Israeli billionaire that died on a dick transplant table?
No, is this like on some Jewish news publication?
Not for real.
I
Like
would never
it is. You aren't invited. You don't wear
low
yellow.
hanging fruit.
Yeah, it is. You'll get that. You're not chosen people.
What,
So
what my credit report? Yeah, like
I'm a 760. No.
racist. He said it. Now he did this shit. I mean, go ahead.
So this dude died on the table getting a dick transplant. Mind you,
Oh, I did hear about this
he's
shit.
one of the top 10 richest people. Yeah, he's one of the top 10 richest people in the world.
Is that where to go? Because women go to Brazil for the butt lift, so I need to go to Singapore if I want to get like a bionic wiener.
Gets you like 18 inches, bro.
No,
No, but
get
like
an extendo bag.
That's where like a lot of the
quick trigger.
yeah, never mind.
The penile
No, not penile, but just like
cosmetic.
for like sex changes and stuff. It's like a whole like
Decepticons
it's like a big
amongst
industry.
us.
But anyway, back to dicks while we got on this
I
podcast.
went to a mall. It was interesting.
It was Christmas time. There was a kiosk.
It was Christmas time actually.
Strange. I got real quick.
Chestnuts was roasting.
This dude got a dick implant. Died on the table. So I have a really good source, okay?
I want to know what this
Really
source is.
confused
Go
where
ahead.
this story
Nah.
is
Go
going.
ahead. Go.
An extremely authentic source that this makes this fact. This dude was a billionaire, one of the top like 10 or 20 richest people in the world. Had such a complex because of his tiny dick that he would call his assistant in just to read his financial statements. Because that's how he felt like a man.
Oh, that would make him feel better. The money.
He's like, oh, I got so much money. Could you imagine having that much funds and being so
It's in your
concerned
brain.
about...
It's not even about the dick. It's your
Yeah.
brain.
And then
But like the
you have
thing
this,
is,
but
is
you have
that,
a
like,
tiny wiener, and then you die getting addicted. Do you realize the irony of all of this shit?
But it's not like you wear fucking like no pants and everyone sees your dick every day.
No, but every fall, gray sweatpants season comes and he can't participate.
I love gray sweatpants season.
Look at her face.
Remember those American flag shorts you wouldn't let me wear?
No, because I'm like, when was the last time you fucking wore gray sweatpants?
You stole my gray sweatpants.
Exactly.
You don't have that shit. I'm playing it. I don't want to hear this. Go on, like, go
I ain't
on.
got this whole energy in my house. Fuck you think?
She threw my gray sweatpants out.
I will beat a fucking bitch up.
Violent. Yeah. And now that we're on the audacity of these bitches. So I brought up last week, just so you guys were here. I brought up the divorce and how I didn't want to get into too deep into it because it always sounds like you're defending a potential abuser and everything. I brought
What's
up
the divorce?
Dre, Dr. Dre.
Oh,
and,
you said the
right.
divorce, like.
Oh yeah,
Motherfuckers ain't
Cardi
getting divorced,
and
like,
them are
every
coming.
day.
Cardi's next week. But anyway, so
Cardi deserves something though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yo,
Absolutely.
Cardi's the breadwinner in that fucking
That's too deep.
relationship.
I might even do just a solo video.
I'm gonna say one quick thing about Cardi though.
Go ahead.
I can't stand her music, but I love her music. You can hate Cardi, but you can't.
Hate.
You
Cardi.
can't hate Cardi.
Yeah.
Her shit is knocking. I
Yeah.
told there's multiple songs that like Brittany, I want to hate this so much, but when it's on, you can't be mad.
I will tolerate no Bel Kelly slander. And if you know her, tweet her and tell her I should be her new babe. Anyway.
Tweeter.
What is it?
Tweet her.
Tweet her.
I'm,
Tweet her.
I'm all about it.
Yes, tweet her.
I'd be happy if she's my sister-in-law.
Indeed.
She can't teach my daughter.
Dr. Dre's wife has a full-on dose of the audacity. So, again, last week I brought up how even if her claims are true, and she specifically mentioned mental and emotional abuse, not that that is any less dangerous than physical abuse, but she specifically did not mention any physical abuse. Not saying that couldn't happen, but that's not what she said. I still thought that her claims for, and I understand the whole shooting for the stars, trying to get as much as you can. $2 million a month was ridiculous, especially when a good chunk of that was for charitable donations. But now, it
was 20 G's for email, I think, like email and text or some random shit.
Is she like using those AOL free discs? Like, what the fuck? But you know what I'm talking about?
You're on a 3.5-inch floppy drive.
Oh, jeez, no.
If you forget to cancel your subscription,
what's your AIM name? Get out of here.
Oh man, I had Ace Up the Sleeve 07. I used to play a lot of spades online. Anyway, so
yeah, we did. What was that joint? The website.
I played.
Did you play spades?
American Online Games, and then Yahoo Spades. I hated Yahoo Spades because you go blind nil.
It was another joint. I got.
But
that's gonna bother me.
So even if there was an argument as though, okay, why would she do that strategy? Now this broad wants the Chronic. Mind you, the Chronic was a classic album long before him and her got together.
Can I talk to you about why the Chronic was so great?
In a second, hold on.
Y'all gonna have to say.
And she wants the rights to his name, Dr. Dre, which she had long before. She wouldn't be with him if he wasn't Dr. Dre. So I think we can agree that even in the best case scenario where all of her claims are legitimate, the audacity of this broad knows no bounds. You can support victims, you can be pro listening and believe in the victim and call out this bullshit. And to say, oh well, he beats bitches so he deserves anything that comes in. That's a cop out and you fucking know it. That's all I got. Please expound upon the relevance of the crime.
Way off base, but like you have hip hop music. You were talking about black culture earlier, right? You talk about how it's like prevalent in society and how everyone wants to embrace it.
Word is bond.
The reason
Who says that?
Yes. I'm gonna awkwardly say yes.
Yes.
No, the reason hip hop and like albums like The Chronic are so influential and dope. You have me, regular ass white guy wearing flannel, growing up in the middle of 400 acres. Could drive his 93 Jeep Wrangler, no roof on, blasting Dre Day, feeling like he was a thug. That is the, like, you can't put that emotion in a song and not, like,
feel it.
It's just crazy. Like, you can't put
this
it
might
in
not
words.
be a story, but you fuck with me.
Like, I had no relation
and
to his
she
life.
wants that.
I had no relation to his life, and I felt like I was living it.
Hand in this production.
You know what level of storyteller you have to be able to import that onto someone?
She wasn't there when he was getting choked by Suge and shit, but she want the Chronic.
I thought it was a thug.
She want. Listen to me. DMX had me.
I thought it was a thug. Listen to it. I made beef jerky.
DMX had me.
I made
venison
jerky. I made venison jerky, dude.
DMX
with soy sauce.
DMX had me thinking I had problems that I did not have. Like to this day, I've been trying to smash on Inez. Because I'm trying to complete the what the bitches want from a nigga, all the names, and I'm about like 70% through. But you know how hard it is to find an Inez? Have you met an Inez? I don't know any Inez's. So if you cute and you Inez,
I basically lived in
holla
a
at
strip
me.
club for 2
But
years.
like,
Never
yeah.
met one.
So DMX had me believing I had problems that I didn't have. So
Does that
Dre,
sound like a stripper?
that's ridiculous. But to wrap it up, we already talked about Gillum, and I probably should have used that as a segue, but to say, maybe I'm sounding like an old dude here, but when I was 10 years old, or I'm guessing, was around the first time that I found my first porno. I'm not going to say whose it was.
No, who was it?
I don't know who was on there. I don't know who was in the porno. It was just a nondescript porno. I'm not going to say whose it was because he might be criminally liable for exposing a minor. But he didn't mean to do it. I just found it because I was a Snoopy kid. But I found it, and I immediately realized, I knew that penises, went into women at some point. I thought that was the extent of sex. I didn't realize there was so much other shit to be done. And then when I realized, I was like, I could not wait to do it. And I'm like 10 years old. And but I still assumed that I would be doing this as an adult.
I was collecting.
I wasn't about to go back to school. I was about to go back to school and try this
Had
at
my
recess.
Steve Young-
You feel me?
I had my Steve Young and Jerry Rice Topps cards. I was like, yo, they match. It's
I
so
was
dope.
still with the video game shit. I was just like, I knew one
Come
day.
hither, bitches.
I know one day
I
I'm gonna be
don't see
prepared.
you.
Like I've done my research that when it's my turn, I'm gonna know what. There's not gonna be a learning curve. But that was still, I still grew up in a time where dudes were actively lying about giving women head, like because they were like, "No, I don't do that. That's sucker shit."
Are we somehow segueing?
Oh, yeah, to balloon nuts. Yeah, I'm getting there. So I'm sitting there, like I remember a time where dudes were literally lying with a straight face. I don't do that shit, and would go home and do all of that because that's what porn told us that if there's one thing men will do is whatever is in a fucking porno video.
These same dudes are probably the same ones who are like, nah, like
Jamaicans,
I'm not.
Jamaicans swear they don't need vagina, but every Jamaican chick I know gets head. So,
But
explain
dudes will
that
also
shit.
be like, no, I'm not gay, but have.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other thing. But here's what I'm saying. In 2020, it's nothing to hear a man talking about how he gonna lick some girl butthole. He don't even know. He don't even know if she wiped right. And they're not wiping.
Is there a wrong way to wipe it?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm asking.
There's a
I
wrong
was
way to
only
wipe.
taught one way.
There's a wrong way to
You
wipe.
have to be so
Oh,
loud.
I'm sorry, I'm passionate about it. There's a wrong way to wipe if you have a butthole, period.
Yeah.
And then if you have a woman's butthole,
I can't. I'm deaf.
you will transfer that shit to the other.
DEF.
You will transfer
Be
that
nice
shit
to my wife.
where it's not around. You really just pet my sister. Like, but
That's my wife.
so here's my thing.
Don't do it.
Oh, here's my thing. It's like dudes are eating ass not fresh out the shower. Dudes are eating ass out the club, my nigga. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, okay. So funny
Dudes
story.
are eating all day ass. Like it's been
Funny
marinating.
story.
She might work outside.
Okay, so you know we work at the club, right? So this is like when I first started working there. You know, like the men's bathroom is at the top, like, and then the women's bathroom is on the other side of the club, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the door guys goes in because they see the men's bathroom. You could see like the stalls, and
Yeah.
like you can see people like if you're at the urinal, like and
You
you're
can see
looking
who's
inside,
occupied.
like. Nah, like if you're standing outside the door, like the urinals are in your plain view, so you
Okay.
can see people like pissing. Like you can't see like dick, but you could see that they're like facing. Anyway, I digress.
Right.
So the door guy looks inside and he sees a pair of feet facing this way and a pair of feet facing this way. So you know the spidey sense.
In the
Starts,
male bathroom?
yeah, the spidey sense starts
This
tingling.
was
Right?
at the Chumley.
No, this was
No,
at the
this is
club.
different.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
different.
this is at the
Okay.
club.
Listen, this
So
will
the
change
door
you.
guy is like, something don't seem right. So, so you know, he gets in there and like busts through the door, and it was a girl, right? It was a chick who was licking this dude's ass like all up in it. Mind you, this wasn't at like 9:00 when the club opened. This was at like 1:30, like
so it's
when
been
it's
marinating.
sweaty. It's been like it's been sweating and it's been it's been through some things. Like
Were they white?
I honestly don't know. So this dude is a corrections officer now.
The dude was getting his ass eat?
but yeah.
No, the dude that caught
I
him.
think so I think she was like giving him head and then you know
It just
flipped his
progressed.
ass over and like you
Which
know
is not a normal
when
move.
the cocaine when you get that fuck it in your system.
Cocaine.
Yeah, but
C-U-C. Cocaine.
the same door guy also did find people like sniffing cocaine off the back of the toilet.
But like he was,
it's a lot of shit that goes down in
this
bathrooms
dude
at
is
clubs.
350 and like he was shook. He was like you know when you like, oh, he's lying. He was visibly shaken. It was not a lie. He's like, I was like, yo, gee, what happened? He's like, I can't tell you. I was like, no, you need to tell me. He's like, he grabbed me by the shoulder. He's like, I walked in. He's like, I saw feet facing the wrong way. And I opened the stall door and it wouldn't open, so I rip it open. And there's a guy bent over the stall, like face down. And this girl just licking his ass. He's like, and he's like, he's like, Long Island's on the floor. And he's just looking, he's like, I'm changed.
She said, I'm changed.
He's like,
The door guy.
I'm changed. He's like, and what got me is she
Wait,
says,
okay,
she's like,
say
why am I
mine,
getting kicked? She's like, why am I getting kicked out? He's like, I have to explain this to you.
Did she at least gargle with the Long Island? That should
No.
kill it, right? It's antiseptic.
Dude,
Let me
No.
tell you, his club has the best what are they, $2 teas or what were they?
24-ounce
At
joints.
the time, they were $1.
Whatever they were. I came in there and I was immediately annoyed. Like, why did Curtis, you know how, bro? Why are you giving
You
me
went to
this?
the den first.
And then I drank it. I was like, thank you, Curtis, for this premix. Like it was amazing. Like it was
For shitty Long Islands, they're like the best
yes,
shitty Long Islands.
they're the best shitty. No, they're shitty Long, but they're the best shitty Long Island
But
you'll
like,
ever have.
It's a shitty Long
They
Island.
were
but
blended
you're
with care.
But you're not gonna hate yourself.
There's a recipe. There's a recipe involved. It wasn't just some college student like. Let me take.
There's nothing better than your godbrother when he's like, I'll take a Sauvignon Blanc. I'm like,
Yeah, we can't take him.
I don't have that, but I'm gonna go
He
get
went
a
to a
bottle.
dive bar. You remember, like he went to a legit dive bar with us, and the guy was like, he blinked, he looked at me, and he was like, I think I got some Zinfandel in the back.
In his defense, he's fantastic to drink with. So
Oh, yes, he's a tank.
we got him a bottle. I had to walk up to not a 5-star restaurant, but we got a 4.5 star
Right.
just to get him a bottle of like Australian
That's the kind of
Sauvignon
connections
Blanc.
I roll with. He knows a guy who knows a guy. He's the guy.
No, I'm the guy's guy. Double tap.
With the sales. Yeah, man. But yeah, balloon. Look, I don't knock anybody's kink. All right, my thing is the reason why I brought this up. There was a meme in a group where this woman was acting like she was married to this dude for X amount of years, and he asked her to do something that was so appalling, and everybody was. She wouldn't say what it was, and everybody was like just assuming that like he was asking for a threesome with a monkey and a parakeet, and like. At some point, she made an edit because they were like, "Tell us what it was." And he was like, "He wants me to lick his ass." And everybody was like, "There was a mix." There was like, I would say a 30-70 spread where like the women were just like, "Oh my god, I'm not licking no man's ass," blah, 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 blah. And 30% like, "Look, bitch, you're grown. Service your man or whatever." And of course, they want to call his sexuality. Oh, he's got to be gay if he likes that or whatever. And he liked that. He liked that before you married him. I'm like, but women will quickly put their balloon knots in a nigga face. Like that's fucking rude.
But what's important to remember
Edit.
is
Some women, because
I'm sorry.
That's a no for
I
me.
believe
No.
it as a woman.
this is an extremely offensive statement to some, and I firmly believe it.
Come
And
with
it's
it.
not right.
You on the A mic? Come with it.
I firmly believe it. As a man, if you're my son, Alan, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm gonna say there's women you fuck in life and there's women you marry. What you are is determined by how you conduct yourself.
Okay. So we on the
So-
Tony Soprano train. Go ahead.
No, but like there's women that they're not. I'm not gonna like ask my wife to eat my ass.
Right. But if
Like-
she did it one day and you liked it, you wouldn't stop her.
No, because it's like that's my wife. It's different. Like you have a different level of respect
Are we
for it.
talking
No,
about eating ass
that's why I
still?
couldn't do it because it's like I had a chance to pee on a girl one time. She asked me to do it. She asked me to do it.
You say it like it was a game of chance. Like
No,
you
no, no,
won.
no. She asked me.
I won the right to pee on a girl.
She brought this shit up, and I was just like, I can't do this. Like I have no intention of being. And here's the thing: I have no intention of like marrying you or even dating you. But it's like I cannot pee on a human. Because the last reference that I had to pee on a human was R. Kelly, and which is for you know what I mean.
Drip, drip, drip.
But I was 20 at the time. 35-year-old me is looking
Looks
back.
like doo doo.
35-year-old me is like the next bitch that asked me to pee on her. I'm peeing on her
But why?
because she told me to do it, and it's a bucket list thing.
No.
But I would never ask to pee on no woman. I can go to my grave without doing it.
Dog,
but
you mad loud in my right ear.
but
though.
if she asked me to do
I'm
it,
sitting right next to you.
I gotta let the
You
chopper.
listen.
I gotta let the chopper sing. Like,
No, you don't though.
but she asked for it.
But the chopper
But
can
you're
be a
like
bass.
30
It
what are
ain't
you,
gotta be the
35?
soprano.
Yeah.
It's different now. You're not 25.
But no, at 19 I was shook. 20 I was shook to do it. I was like, I can't do this.
In the words of Martin Lawrence, put your little pig thing away, dude. Like you can't be peeing on somebody. Like you can't just do that.
Why was I?
You watched that documentary and you like.
I let you
was
watch
made
my
to pee on
daughter.
somebody?
I let you watch my daughter.
I'm Kelly joint.
No. So that was predatory. That's why I couldn't do it. But
For the record, we
it's
can
a
all-
thing because
But
girls.
you didn't know that back then.
No, I'm
No,
gonna put-
I knew he was a fucking doing
We
it to children.
got to put this on record. Fuck R. Kelly. Like
Oh,
it needs to
absolutely.
be said.
For those of you motherfuckers marching for R. Kelly and his rights, fuck you and everything you stand for. Like,
You know
that's
what?
why he's getting his ass beat in jail. I'm glad you motherfuckers are out. Did you hear about the shit? They marched for him for justice,
No.
and they kept having disturbances out the prison. They kept going into lockdown. For people who've been in jail or prison, when you go into lockdown, you lose a lot of privileges and rec time and shit like that. So the prisoners beat R. Kelly ass.
Good for
because
him.
So, yeah, thank you.
I have a serious,
Justice for R. Kelly. You did what you were supposed
I have
to
a
do.
serious question for both of you. This is not a joke. Not me playing games. You
Is
ever
that
got
a
like
short answer question?
It could be.
Yeah.
It's up to
We're
you.
wrapping up.
With Alan, no.
We get 2.5 now.
You have R. Kelly, one of the most talented vocalists of all time. Like, you
Right.
can't argue that. Do you cut off his music because he's a piece of shit?
No. I need his music. I don't think about a 12-year-old or wherever when I'm.
Like, My Body's Calling For You is one of the dopest songs of
Yeah.
all time. You can't argue that. You
Freaking
cut it off.
Seems like you're
because-
ready, or and like, if you realize he's talking to a child, yeah, that's ruining. But when I first, I was talking to a child because I was a child. You know what I mean? But like, I don't
Step
think
in the name of love. You can't be happy when you hear that.
Yeah, it's just like I'm still gonna step in the name of love. Fuck him though.
But like, your dad won't
Because
listen
if we're gonna do that, Marvin Gaye. Because if you look into the history of Marvin Gaye and what he did with, you can't listen to Marvin. Google Marvin Gaye and how his second wife and the shit that he pulled and how old she was, and who she was before she was his second wife. It's terrible, but ain't nobody gonna cancel Marvin Gaye. Here's my thing: I don't knock anybody who does cancel R. Kelly because you don't know what triggers who. And people are, there was like a statistic in America: 1 in 5 women is gonna be a victim of some sort of sexual assault, if not rape. 1 in 3 black women is. So if it controls your peace,
That's
to cancel,
atrocious to say out loud.
it
Say
is.
that again.
And I know 3 black women. So what
That's
the fuck?
atrocious.
1 in 5 women in the United States are going to be a victim of some manner of sexual assault. 1 in 3 black women will. That goes from anything from groping to rape. You know what I mean? Like full on rape. So if it behooves you to
That's
cancel
above
this
you.
man because it triggers you, do what you got to do, and I will respect that. But I do not have an aversion to listen to R. Kelly's music because I'm not a fucking predator, and the last thing I think about is a fucking child.
I guess I just meant like, are you supporting him by listening?
No, because I don't pay.
I'm genuinely- I don't know.
That's just my thing with the NFL. I don't stream his shit because that money is generated, even if it's like a 1/10 of a cent, if he gets enough streams, goes to his account. R. Kelly would get no money from me, and I've been like that since I saw the fucking video in the Napster LimeWire.
In my defense, most of my R. Kelly music was like back in the day.
Yeah,
so
before
it was
before we
LimeWired,
did.
so it was
But
free.
I can't cancel The World's Greatest and what that song means to me. I can't cancel I Believe I Can Fly. I can't cancel what was that? Come On and Break My Hair.
What was the one Ron and
I
Isley
wish.
that was like nasty?
Contagious. I can't cancel.
I've
the
listened
R.
to the
Kelly.
whole version, the 8-minute long
Yeah,
joint.
I can't cancel the hip hopper, but I can cancel him. Okay, and what I do is the same thing with the NFL. I make sure they don't get a red cent out of me. I don't defend him, but the music is the music. It's like it is what it is. But I don't knock anybody who does because you guys need to protect yourselves.
Me as a dumbass have to ask, what was Marvin Gaye's joint? Like, I had no idea.
It's too much to go into, but long story short was that Marvin Gaye's second wife was the wife of either his cousin or somebody who either died or he broke them up, and she was a minor and she was like 15, 16, and he was a grown ass fucking man. So there's the statutory in that and everything, and he was molesting her, making her do shit, have threesomes and everything
Just
like
a
that.
little bit. It's just a little bit.
And yeah, but we know Marvin Gaye as a legendary soul singer. You know what I mean? So there's a whole lot of trash there. I can listen to Marvin Gaye's music without ever thinking about a child. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, Marvin, there's some sexual. He has a song called "Sexual Healing," obviously, but even that, as far as that's considered a love song. You know what I mean? Like, even as nasty as the actual context of the song, it's still considered a love song. So I am not a predator, so I don't internalize it like that. But anybody who is triggered, I do not knock you for protecting yourself. Just like I don't knock men for protecting their balloon nuts because
I do.
what?
You
But
don't let your wife lick your
but
balloon.
I'm tired. Look, because gay dudes.
No,
do it.
is it balloon or is it BLOON?
No,
Balloon.
go get a balloon and tie it and look at it.
I'm very. Never mind.
No, I need to ask. Remember when we went to Vegas and went to the Wynn and you had there was that balloon statue at the Encore?
I was drunk.
You should. I can't do it then. I
But
can't ask the question.
That's pretty much. I got some other things, but the other ones are personal, so I'm saving them for next week because they're
Let's
not
keep-
week sensitive.
I'm
Do you
already
guys have
drunk.
anything to plug? Tell the people about Woodward because I want more black people to know about this gymnastics camp. You come up there, flip and shit.
It's a sports camp.
Kick flips.
I don't know if this is the appropriate.
I mean, somebody might hear it, like because I
Yeah.
told you this girl I would be crushing on the internet. Her daughter goes to your camp, so I'm not gonna say her name.
And
That's
well, if she comes, we'll take her out to a nice seafood dinner
with scripts.
with Scripps. And,
Grim.
Scrimps.
But yeah, tell them about Woodward.
Yeah, it's a sports camp in central Pennsylvania. I oversee our gym-based programs, but we also
HBIC.
have skateboard, BMX, scooter, a bunch of different things. So if you're interested, feel free to visit our website. Just Google Woodward. But yeah, that's what I
It's
do.
in Pennsylvania. It's worth
Yep.
it. They might meet a star. You got anything? State College, he owns the only club?
Formerly.
Oh, formerly owned, but still
We
runs.
sold in December,
You still
yeah.
operate it, though, right?
Well, not right now because of COVID. But
Oh, yeah,
yes,
but
I
if-
still operate the
When the world
entity.
when the world gets back to normal, what is it? It's not Indigo anymore. It's
The basement, nice spot.
The basement, yeah.
We got Bill Pickle's Tap Room, Zeno's Pub, Chumley's. The game bar we talked
I
about.
think what I'm gonna do weekly
Allen
is get
Street
a,
Grill.
I'm gonna get a whiskey recommendation from Curtis, so to tell everybody to get on that. So
I know my whiskey.
yeah, and build my palate. But again, thank you guys. This is the longest episode, but I hope it's the most compelling because we touched on a lot of good shit, and not only just from the heavy nature of the material, but from an interracial marriage / making it work / raising my black ass niece. You know what I
Just
mean?
family.
Like, yeah,
Family.
and just a family thing. I invite you guys into my world for a reason. I control my experience, but you guys need to control yours in real life. Don't let 2020 run you. I mean, 2020 has been a ho-ho, but you are still in charge out here. That's all I have. Anything else? You guys take it easy.